All right, thank you everyone for coming to our Neighborhood 13 Downtown Chinatown meeting. We'll go ahead and get this meeting started at 6:05. My name is Ernest Carvalho. I am the chair for tonight. At the far left to my side is Robert Armstrong. Next to Robert Armstrong, we have Mr. Kevin Lai. He is our secretary. On our far left, we have Sean Fitzsimmons, he's the vice chair. Next to him, we have Ross Isikani, who is our treasurer. Then our NA assistant right here is Dylan. All right, we'll get this rolling. We're going to. Oh, yes. And online, we have Laurie McCarney and Shulan Schubert Kwa. All right, before we get this rolling, I would appreciate if we could all take a moment of silence for all our friends in Lahaina at this time, all right? Thank you. Just a minute of silence. All right, thank you very much. Before we get started, I want to go through some quick announcements real quick about the neighborhood board. So first of all, for us board members sitting up here, let's remember that these microphones that we use do not belong to the NCO, nor do they belong to Olelo. They belong to the cameraman there, yeah? So please take care of it. We had one broken a while back, and we want to make sure that doesn't happen again, all right? Because the cameraman has to pay out of pocket for these, all right? That's number one. Number two, when we come up to public concerns, that is strictly for the public, not for the board members, yeah? We will be making adjustments, so I will advise that board members that we can start doing board concerns, but you folks need to let me know 10 days in advance of the next meeting what public concerns you want to discuss, because they have to be specific per OIP. All right? So also that during public concerns, we may ask any public member speaking, we may ask them of the question, and Dylan will explain that process, the questions. Public concerns.
Yes. So with public concerns, anyone is allowed to bring their concerns. They are not properly agendized, meaning that the public didn't have ample notice. So the announcement they're welcome to be made, but the board and the public should not begin deliberation, which is a long discussion, debate, and no action absolutely on items that are not listed on the agenda. So during that time, we should not be going back and forth discussion, but if a board member has any question for clarity, that is acceptable. And then we encourage all board members, like Chair said, to work with the chair to get any of their concerns properly listed on the agenda because they have that authority.
Right, and the board members have an authority, whereas the public doesn't have that authority to put things on the agenda. So any board member concerns sent to me, I will get it on the agenda immediately starting for the next agenda, yeah? Whatever you want to, but remember per OIP, it has to be specific. So if we're going to be talking about, say, who's allowed to work on Google Drive and what are the responsibilities on Google Drive, then we must be specific to that. All right? All right, in that case, we can go ahead and get this meeting started with public safety reports. First, we'll start off with the Honolulu Fire Department.
Good afternoon, everybody. Can you hear me? All right. My name is Jonathan Waltz. I'm a firefighter with Central Fire Station. Starting with statistics for the previous month, August 2023, we had 3 nuisance fires, 7 activated alarms, and no structure, wildland, or cooking fires. For non-fire emergencies, we had 106 medical, 4 motor vehicle collision with pedestrians, 3 motor vehicle crash or collisions, no mountain rescues, 1 ocean rescue, and no hazardous materials incidents. The fire safety tip for the month is evacuation planning. In the event of an emergency, be prepared with an evacuation plan. Create your plan with all members of your family and household. Keep in mind those with limited abilities, such as children, elderly, and the pets. Identify possible exits and escape routes. Predetermine a safe meeting place. Always choose the escape route that is safest. Think about various scenarios and strategize how to use them. Review and practice the plan often. Assemble an emergency supply kit. Remember to pack important documents, medicines, and necessary pet items. Remember to stay calm, stay informed, and stay alert. For more information, you can visit our website at fire.honolulu.gov. That's all. Any questions?
All right, so do we have any questions from anyone in our lobby here at the school? Anyone? No questions for the fire department? Anyone online? Anyone online? All right, none there. Any questions from our board for the fire department? All right, hearing none, seeing none, I want to thank you very much. You have a great day. Thank you. All
Thank you, you too.
Thank you. Next, we'll go to HPD, Lieutenant Sagusio, please.
Hello and good evening, everyone, and Chair Carvalho, board members. Lieutenant Sagusio for the District 1 Community Area Responsibility for HPD. Thank you for you guys' time and patience. And if you need more statistical information other than what I'm providing for you tonight, you guys can go to the public website, www.honolulupd.org. And the stats, we'll just get right into it. Motor vehicle theft. So the month of August was 4. Previous month was 6. Burglaries were 4. Previous 3 thefts are 37. Previously to that was 41. UMVs or car break-ins were 8. Previous month was 10. Assaults were 21. Previous 19. Sex assaults were 2. Previous month was 3. Graffiti cases this month were 0. For August was 0. Previous month was 1. Drug offenses were 8, and the previous month was also 8. So for the month of August, pretty much the statistical information remained about the same from the previous month. So I checked the category of robbery, and then I located for commonalities with these offenses where the items taken were wallets, cell phones, and U.S. currency. There are no criminal breaches to report at this time. The month of September is National Suicide Prevention Month. Please be aware of signs of depression and take notice of life triggers that may cause someone to hurt themselves. I posted several numbers on the chat screen for everyone to see and take down. I've utilized these numbers in the past personally while on duty, and they've provided me excellent advice and proper measures to dealing with someone who's thinking about suicide. The safety tip for the month of September would be pedestrian safety. We kind of came back around in full circle. Since we just got done with the last major holiday of summer, which was Labor Day, and summer vacation is over. There will be more pedestrian traffic in the area of schools and bus transit areas. We're asking our community members to leave early and avoid rushing. Rushing causes everyone to become complacent and in regards to safety. Drivers, please reduce speeds in those areas of intersections, especially mid-block crosswalks. At this time, I'm going to yield back the rest of my time and take any questions from the board and the public attendees.
All right, thank you very much. Do we have any questions from our public in the schools? Janice?
Good evening. I came tonight to address my concern about the homeless and the drug addicts that.
Excuse me 1 second, Janice. Can you please say your name because they don't know you?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm Janice Gugino. And I'm addressing the concern about the homeless and the drug addicts that hang outside my apartment 24/7 down on Nu'uanu and Kukui Street. And it's worse at night. More of them come out at night about 10 o'clock, and it's noisy all night long. And it's the crazy kind where they're just cursing all night long and they're boisterous and they're not making sense. And it's hard. It's hard to sleep. And, you know, I have to get up, get a good night's sleep and go to work in the morning, and they're just up all night long doing whatever. I called the cops numerous times, but they don't seem to do anything. They do come by They tell them to lower their voices, and then as soon as the police leave, they're just doing their loud again. When I walk to work in the morning, they're still there. I've seen them shooting up needles right on the street. I've seen them naked or half naked, and my apartment building is right there. I live in an apartment building with a lot of elderly that are scared to go out. Yeah, when I'm walking to work, I can't avoid them. I have to walk that way. Even if I'm on the other side of the street, they're still there. I see them urinating, and it's scary. Even at 8 o'clock in the morning, I think they're still on drugs, and they're cursing, they're being crazy, they're hallucinating. I don't know if they're cursing at me or in their head, but it's just scary.
All right, so your question to Lieutenant Segusio would be, what can we do? What can the police department do to help clear up that area?
Yes, please.
Janice, thank you for that question. Okay, so in regards to those situations in Chinatown, please continue to call. Our officers will be dispatched to those locations to mitigate the criminalities in regards to that location. But I'm going to have to defer any more comment in regards to the homeless situation due to the fact that we're going through a litigation process with the ACLU at this point in time. So I'll take these concerns back to my command. I'll definitely refer it to my patrol officers so that they can make diligent checks of that location of Nuuanu and Kukui Street, if I'm not mistaken. I wrote it down. But yeah, at this point in time, I'm going to have to defer any more comments in regards to the homeless situation due to ongoing litigation. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Do we have any other residents in our lobby here that would like to speak on this? To speak to Lieutenant Segusio? No, none, hearing none. Any one online? Hearing none, seeing none, we'll go to board member. Oh, but Mr. Dunn, go ahead, Mr. Dunn, how you doing?
Good. Thank you, Chair Carvalho. I was just curious if maybe the Lieutenant could give us an update on the foot patrols in the neighborhood. Are those still a priority for the department? And if so, what schedule are we expecting to see over the course of the next month? Thank you.
That's a very good question, Mr. Dunn. So they're currently out there right now. So there's actually units out there right now in regards to that CTF or the Chinatown Task Force patrols. Yeah. So they're on foot. If I'm not mistaken, they can run up to 6 officers and 1 supervisor, depending on who takes the positions. Yeah, because realize that it's overtime and officers are doing it on their personal time. Yeah, so it's usually the times of the start times for these types of patrols are between the times of 8 and 12 noon. So they must start within that time, unless there's some sort of accommodation that needs to be made. But the captains got to be notified in regards to that. So they're up and going right now, and they have a schedule out for the next 2 weeks, and it's every day.
All right, thank you. Mr. Dunn, did you have a follow-up question?
No, I was just expressing my thanks and gratitude. We appreciate the extra manpower in the neighborhood.
All right, thank you very much. Any public member, any public resident online that would like to ask a question? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and move to our board. Any members on our board?
Yeah, I would like to, Chair. Hello?
All right, before Shulon, before I go to you, I'm gonna have to go to our secretary who had already stated he would like to go. So go ahead, Board Member Lai.
Thank you, Chair. Lieutenant Segusio, 2 quick questions this evening. First, I believe that in the past few weeks, there was a report of a gentleman, if not a body, that was in the Nuuanu stream area because of some preceding violence. That's unfortunate, yes. But the question that's raised is this: if one happens to be in a situation where one is thrown into Nuuanu stream and ostensibly does not have a cell phone, are there any egress points from there? How would one get out? What would you recommend that one do if one is assaulted and somehow dumped into the water? Secondly, yesterday in Civil Beat, there was a report about the prosecution of cases for violent and nonviolent crimes and the requirement for victims to contact the the DA's office, if you will. But prior to that, what steps does the public have to know that the police officers are forwarding this information to the DA's office? How long does that take before the DA's office will be able to recognize a specific HPD report number? I mention this because I was the guy that got bit by the dangerous dog, and that case got dropped because I could not contact the DA's office because they said they didn't have the number. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Oh, that's very interesting. So let me address the first question. So if someone falls into the river, I think we were on that case. But I don't know if it's the same one that you're talking about, but there was a person that fell into the water and he went critical due to the fact that that person was intoxicated. There's no real ladders or ingress or egress out of that river. There's particular locations where there's old rungs. However, they're not all over the place. Yeah. I know there was an initiative back when I was a footman to put up life preserver rings in particular areas, but I think the initial pilot program with that was those rings ended up coming up missing. So it's one of those things, yeah. So best thing to do is contact HPD or HFD, and then usually they'll come down with their ladders and then help these people get out of the water, yeah. Second question in regards to the civil beat, the violent, nonviolent crimes and their reporting, the prosecutors taking care of this stuff. So when we generate cases, we forward all cases to the prosecutor's office in regards to cases that are needed to be charged or prosecuted. So just realize we do generate cases where people will say that they do not want to prosecute, but we will generate the cases anyway because they can reopen the case depending on the statutes of limitation of the crime. So when we do forward it to the prosecutors, I mean, I cannot give you a time frame in regards to how long it takes for them to get to those cases. It was unfortunate that they didn't get your phone number or contact information so they could call you. I might have to look into that. There might be just an anomaly in regards to your particular case, sir. Sorry.
All right, thank you. I do believe that Board Member Lai has a follow-up, and I did say I would allow a follow-up today.
Oh, thank you, Chair. And Lieutenant, I'm sorry if I didn't understand your response to the first question. If you are the person that's thrown into the water in the Nuance Stream and can't find the ladders or whatnot, what do you recommend to do if you're alone and your cell phone's waterlogged at that point?
If I'm not mistaken, on the Diamond Head side of the river, there is a shallow ledge throughout the extent from that extends from Hotel Street to Baratania. Below that, there is none. I've been under that bridge too. There's a situation that's brewing underneath that bridge too, that runs under Nimitz. So it does get shallower at that point. And then you can make your way out of the river because I think the water over there is maybe like knee deep. But other than that, I think the other side of the wall or the Nuano stream is fairly deep. I don't know what to tell you. We just pray to God that those people that fall in know how to swim.
All right, thank you. Shulan Schubert Kwok, go ahead.
Okay, can you hear me, Lieutenant? Can you hear me? Can you hear?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Chair. 2 questions. 1, when is the time frame for the cameras, for the rest of the cameras? Because we're in phase 1, we've got 6 cameras. So I'm interested in you letting us know or finding out the second phase because we do need them. And I do agree with the speaker earlier that we are having more encampments. And I'm also concerned, Lieutenant, that the ACLU is suing the city over the sit-lie and store property thing, and that you cannot address homelessness. But we want you to address lawlessness. Even homeless people can be lawless. Anybody can be lawless. So I don't think we should suspend the law just because there is a lawsuit against the city on the sit-lie ordinance. I will be a witness and I'll be testifying on behalf of the city regarding the importance of the sit-lie ordinance because it is a safe passage for everyone, including homeless people. Because the sidewalk is not meant for housing or people partying, drinking, and doing drugs. So we need to guarantee safe passage for everyone. So I hope the message that I heard, just because there's a lawsuit, that you are not addressing homelessness. You should address all lawlessness.
All right,
So
thank you.
those are my comments and questions.
Okay, so I'll address the first part. In regards to the camera, so they have the TV set up at the substation already. The cameras look and appear to be operational. They had segregated a table where the control center will be. We're not allowed to touch it because I guess the city is gonna get a vendor to teach whoever's going to be working the system how to utilize it and how it operates and stuff like that. But all the cameras appear to be working. However, we haven't been trained yet. I think that's a question more for the city to answer. The people that are going to install it, not install it, but do the training for it. But it's up and ready to go. We just need people to show us how to use it, or get in contact with those people that are going to work it, and how to do the recordings, the downloads, and all of that stuff, so that we can utilize it for further prosecution. Yeah. So in regards to my comments earlier about me deferring any of the questions in regards to the residentially challenged people in regards to the ACO lawsuit, I truly encourage everyone to look into the internet and look at what the actual lawsuit states. I cannot discuss it because it's just something that we're going through some litigation stuff. I don't want to misspeak, so I would just ask the people to kind of read into it. It's very and it's not monetary, I just can say that, right? But what they're trying to do is they're trying to circumvent the laws. I'm just going to say that. Okay, so we're still going out there and enforcing any type of criminality. We're enforcing laws out there. But in regards to me commenting on those situations, I cannot do that at this time. But in regards to those homeless situations, please continue to call. We'll come out, we'll go and address the situation. It's just that there's a lot of locations, yeah, where these people are popping up. So we're trying. We're trying, Shulan.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll go to Ross. Is kind of here.
Hi, Lieutenant. Oh, thank you, Chair. Lieutenant, I just wanted to ask a follow-up question to some of the things we were discussing last week. Shulan and I both asked a question, I believe, just on the availability of statistics for historical patrols, the normal beat patrols, as well as the Chinatown Task Force. I know you stated at your department's stance that, you don't want to show these, you don't want to be transparent with these statistics. Command is saying you don't want to show your hand. I just wanted to get a little bit more context on that. I mean, to me, that would make sense for, say, if you're doing undercover stings. But the fact is, these patrols are supposed to be deterrents. So we want them to be visible. We want to show our hands. So I'm just curious if you can comment a little bit more on your department stance.
Okay, so in that regard, yeah, we're not going to be discussing the number of officers in regards to patrol areas and stuff like that. Now with the CTF, the Chinatown Task Force and projects, just like I said earlier when I started, is usually we can go up to 6 officers with 1 supervisor in regards to those Chinatown Task Force or project enforcement programs. But in regards to the beat officers for the location, we cannot discuss that. Yeah.
Exactly. But that's what I mean. But it's not going to take it.
Sorry.
It's.
But yeah, so it's just something that we don't want to do because it's a public forum, and just like I said, we'll be kind of pretty much telling the criminals how many officers are working on a particular day. I mean, we've had criminals after they're caught state that they would count white cars parked in front of the substation, and then they would figure out that everybody was at the substation typing reports, and then that's when they would do their thing. Yeah, so we're not going to be discussing that.
All right, thank you. Do we have any other board members? Hearing none, seeing none, I want to thank you very much, Lieutenant Segusio. You have a great day and see you next month.
Thank you. You guys have a great night.
All right, thank you very much. All right, so next up, we're going to go ahead and go to our presentations. First up will be Hawaii Energy. So this is about Energy Advantage Program by Dan Mestas. Dan?
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Board. My name is Dan Mestis. I'm the Principal Development Engineer for Hawaii Energy. And what we do is we work with Hawaiian Electric, but more importantly, island families and small businesses to help empower them to be able to make clean energy choices, save money on their electric bills through energy consumption. And we have a couple programs that are very impactful for small businesses and community members in particular that help take a lot more of the burden of the cost off of the business. These lighting retrofits that we do in particular for Energy Advantage can be almost no cost, if not no cost at all to the business at the end of the day. And can you go to the next one? One more. Sorry. So anyways, what I was saying, these retrofits can be at little to no cost for the business at the end. How it works is the customer just needs to be below 30 kW demand charge, a small business or nonprofit on the G or J rate, and that pretty much qualifies just about anybody. Also, any restaurant, no matter the size, qualifies you. And what you do is you go to our website and you click on Clean Energy Allies, and it shows you a list of all the contractors, local contractors that are qualified to do this type of work for us, because they're actually processing the rebate on behalf of the customer, as well as doing all the lighting audits up front. And they're the ones who pay the upfront materials cost, so that when the rebate nets out to the customer, it's just net. They only have to pay what it nets out to be, and oftentimes it is free. We've had over 6,000 unique customers served in the islands, which totaled about 10 megawatts of demand reduction and about 3,000 annual savings per customer. This program works in Honolulu, Hawaii, and Maui counties. The only area that's not eligible is Kauai because they have their own public or their own utility co-op. We serve specifically Hawaiian Electric areas, but all neighborhoods, all small businesses under 30 kW. It's an incredible program. You can go to the next slide. These are, again, reiterating the qualifications for it and the process. Next slide. And on this spot, if you want to follow the instructions on the left to find the website, you can. Or if you're online or you want to go directly to the website, you can scan that QR code and that will get you started. And like I said, the first step is finding a contractor, calling the contractor. From there, they come out, they do the audit, and right there they can tell you what the net cost to you is going to be. And like I said, most end up to be free. And we really target the small businesses and folks that have trouble paying for these types of things, because the LED lights can be 30 to 60% of an electric bill for a small business. So it's an amazing benefit, and I really encourage everyone to do it. There's also referral programs for customers. If they refer another customer, they get another $100. All of the services that we provide are funded by the ratepayer, and we're regulated by the Public Utility Commission. So everything as far as walkthroughs that we do for any other customers that might want to learn how to save energy, they can contact us as well. At the last slide will be my contact information. And this is the end of the Energy Advantage program part. And I wanted to turn it over to my colleague Chester Carson, who will talk about the grant program, which is, more of a total fund type allocation for larger investments that they might have, such as air conditioning. Chester.
Okay, so thank you for having us. My name is Chester Carson. As Dan just said, I'm the Grant Administration and Public Policy Manager for Hawaii Energy. The video we couldn't get to work, but what you're looking at on the screen, and I understand it'll be available afterwards. It's actually a great video that if you go to hawaiienergy.com, or no, it'll be just available in the Google Drive. Yeah. I encourage you to watch the video. It's a good It's a success story from the Energy Advantage program that Dan just talked about, where they upgraded all their lighting at the gym there, and they talk about the impact it had on their small business. So the grant program is called the Empower Grant Program. A lot of what Dan said applies to the Empower Grant Program as well. The main difference, honestly, is that Energy Advantage is lighting. Empower Grant is kind of for everything else that's not lighting that we do regular rebates for. What you're looking at here is kind of the reason why we've been doing it. We're on year 4 now of the Empower Grant Program. When we launched it, it was a direct response to COVID, and the demand has been good each year, so we've been able to find funding for it and continue to do it. And of course, one of the main reasons we do it in Hawaii is we have the highest electricity prices in the entire country. So this is one of our ways to try and help small businesses, nonprofits, and restaurants invest at a reduced cost in energy efficiency at their stores and facilities, and save on operating costs. And we can go to the next slide. And this is some of our, I guess, sort of our braggy slide about the program. So like I said, we're in year 4. On the left there, that's kind of what we're doing right now. We're smack dab in the middle of taking applications. So we opened applications this year on August 1st, and we're going to take them through the end of this month, September 29th. So the grant program, if you're curious about it or know anyone that has a small business, restaurant, or nonprofit that might be interested, the website is hawaiienergy.com/empowergrant. Once you're there, that's good one-stop shop for the grant program. It has everything you need in terms of contact information, and that email that you see on the screen there, HE as in Hawaii Energy, HE-grants@leidos.com. That's the grant program email, but it comes to me, so I'll get those. But I'll just keep mentioning the website, hawaiienergy.com/empowergrant. If you find your way there, you'll find all the information you need to find out about the grant, download application forms to apply for it. I hesitate saying it's pretty straightforward paperwork, but it really is. If you ever do something on the federal level to apply for something, that's a lot of paperwork. We really have tried to make ours pretty straightforward, and I'll detail what's involved to apply here as we move. And some of the things on the right there are just the things that we've done over the last 3 years, the money we've been able to push back into the community via the grant, and some of the energy we've been able to save through those projects. Okay, so this is sort of the grant overview. Dan mentioned some of the bigger investments, and what we've got this year for the grant program is it's up to $6,000 per awarded grant, depending on the type of equipment that somebody's applying for. And that can include commercial fridges, freezers, HVAC, window film, that kind of stuff. It's all eligible for the grant. And if it's awarded, it can be up to $6,000 per grant award. There are some eligibility requirements that we'll cover here in a second. And then Dan talked a little bit about the Clean Energy Allies. We do require folks to use one of our Clean Energy Allies, which is essentially just a contractor that is familiar with Hawaii Energy. They're going to be able to speed up the process. They know about the paperwork. So that's why we require that. And again, if you go to the website, hawaiienergy.com/empowergrant, all that is there, including how to find a Clean Energy Ally contractor and go about that process too. And then again, September 29th is the deadline this year for applications, so about another month here. And I think we can go to the next slide. So customer eligibility, again, very similar to what Dan mentioned for Energy Advantage. It's even, I think, a little more inclusive. So you have to be on the HECO grid, like Dan mentioned. So unfortunately for Kauai, it's everybody else. You just have to have a commercial HECO account and one of the other 4 things there that you see listed below. So commercial HECO account, and then if it's a Schedule G, you're qualified to apply. If you have a facility that's less than 5,000 square feet, you're qualified to apply. If you're a restaurant, you're good to apply, I should say. And then same thing for 501c3s. They're automatically eligible to apply. Not eligible is what you see down there below. So it's residential accounts, including residential-based businesses, and then, of course, the island of Kauai. We use this slide for the launch day. It's kind of aimed more at folks that have been familiar with it in the past. We changed things a little bit this year. So not to get too far into the weeds, but in the past 3 years, it's basically been $5,000 per grant application, up to $5,000. This year, we just broke down the equipment into 3 tiers based on energy savings. So tier 1, equipment can get up to $2,000, tier 2, 4,000, tier 3, 6,000. The things in tier 1, and again, all this is on the website in more detail and hopefully aesthetically pleasing. The things in tier 1 are going to be things like your commercial freezers, commercial refrigerators, window AC units. Tier 2 is going to be a lot of your other HVAC, and then tier 3 is some of the bigger things like solar water heaters and some of the bigger commercial kitchen equipment. So again, on the website, hawaiienergy.com/empowergrant, you'll find all that laid out for you clearly. This is what's involved. I mentioned the paperwork. Yes, there is paperwork, but it's not a whole lot. So we have a grant application that's specific to the grant program. You got to fill that out. You can download it on the website. Everything that you do with Hawaii Energy, whether it's Energy Advantage that Dan talks about, the grant program, or just a standard rebate, you have to fill out the commercial incentive application. It's a pretty straightforward piece of paperwork that basically gives us your HECO account information. So you got to have that. We need a W-9. And then the Clean Energy Ally contractors would be the ones that provide a business or an applicant with an itemized quote and an estimate. And then if you're a 501c3, we would also need your determination letter. And here's the timeline one more time, all laid out. So August 1st obviously was last month, but that's when applications opened. We're taking applications through the end of this month. And then people always want to know, when do they find out? If they apply, when do they find out if they're going to get a grant? And the answer is October 13th. So 2 weeks after we close the applications, we'll get everything reviewed and processed, and we let people know one way or the other about their application on October 13th. If a business accepts the grant award, they're committing to us more or less that they're going to try and finish that project by June 1st next year. And then after we verify completion, get final invoices, that's when we reimburse the grant award after it's all POW. And then the last thing that we do is we send out a survey once the small businesses receive that funding and ask for that back. Oh, cool. And that's, again, hawaiienergy.com/empowergrant, one-stop shop.
Final thing on the Energy Advantage program, really, larger businesses and everything, those get like a third of the incentive as these programs. So the whole point of that is to really reach all these smaller places and really drive the demand down across the islands. The final thing I wanted to mention was our Innovation Symposium, first time back since the beginning of the pandemic at the Sheraton on October 12th. This is for all types of businesses to attend, learn about new technology, network with other customers, find contractors to help you reduce your energy. Take a look at that one. Lastly, that's my contact for anything that you might have, screenshot it, etc. And please take a look at that little video in the Google Drive in the presentation. Thank you so much for your time and
All right, thank you.
attention.
Please stay there. Does anyone in our audience have any questions? Anyone online have any questions? All right, we'll go to our board members. Any of our board members here have any questions? Go ahead, Board Member Rossi Sukani, please.
Hi, thanks so much for being here. I think it's a very great program, a great objective. I probably missed this, but where does the funding for the grants come from? Is this federal grants? And then the second question that I guess I would have is, understanding that a lot of grant money can sometimes be prone to waste or fraud. Just what are some of the programs you have? What's the oversight to make sure that the money is spent well?
As far as all of our programs, we're ratepayer funded and regulated by the Public Utilities Commission. The funds come out of the PBF fee. At the bottom of your HECO bill, you'll see a line that says PBF or public benefit fee. A portion of that is what pays for all of the programs, all of our outreach, all of our training, the rebates themselves, our salaries, everything associated with that is regulated by the PUC. And we also have multiple evaluators that assess everything that we're doing and make sure that it's meeting the criteria. As far as the grant, Chester can touch on that part.
Yeah, no, good question. And I would reiterate everything Dan said, and just also to the grant program specifically, I mentioned the federal stuff mostly to say their stuff's more complicated paperwork wise. Ours is hopefully pretty straightforward. And then in terms of making sure it's not being abused, that's why everything for us in the grant program, and actually most things that we do, it's when we send out the grant payment, for example, it's as a reimbursement after the project has been finished, after we've verified that the equipment that they say that we're going to install has been installed, we get the final invoice. So it's after we verify that everything's done. That's the only time that we actually send out the grant payment. So that's how.
And on that last note, it's similar to all project incentives when they come to a certain threshold of rebate, which some rebates can get to $250,000. Our limit, we have a threshold where we always have to go out on site to do the final inspections, create photographic reports. We have to receive invoices, et cetera. Yep.
All right, thank you. Is there anyone on our board who would like to address this? Go ahead, board member Lai, please.
Thank you, Chair. Gentlemen, as it was pointed out that this is ratepayer funded, was any thought given to using some of this funds for the ratepayers themselves to decrease or defer future costs, at least to a certain degree?
Well, I think that's, if I understand you correctly, that's what our program is all about. It just depends on if you take advantage of it yourself as a ratepayer.
Right, but certainly not all ratepayers fall into the categories of 5,000 square feet. And
Oh,
things like
yes. So there are numerous programs that any HECO customer can participate in, such as midstream LED lights, where when you purchase them at point of sale, you get the rebates instantly. Similarly with kitchen equipment, anything Energy Star gets rebates from us as well. And that goes through to water heating with heat pumps, solar water heating, air conditioning units, commercial kitchen, Energy Star appliances at your home, really everything, all types of energy use. As long as it's electric, we provide rebates for anything that's essentially above the minimum code in the state.
All right, thank you. So we're going to go ahead to board member Sean Fitzsimmons first.
Hey, thank you so much for your presentation. Just one quick question. If a nonprofit qualifies for one program, are they disqualified from the second, or can they both apply simultaneously and be awarded simultaneously the grants?
They can take advantage of any of these programs simultaneously.
All right, and thank you. And for the last question of the night on this, we'll go to, did you want to ask a question? We'll go to board member McDonald, please.
Thank you. Thank you for your presentation. I enjoyed it. I did want to follow up on the other board member's question. You said something that I didn't notice in the presentation, which was that apparently the funding for this comes from HECO. So every single person that gets an electric bill from HECO is paying a portion of their bill to fund this program?
Correct. This program, as well as others in the state, are part of that public benefits fee. It's typical for, a lot of different utilities around the country that part of it's either from directly from the ratepayer or through taxes. For Hawaii, it's through the ratepayer funding.
So anybody who has an electric bill is basically forced to
Anyone who
contribute?
pays an electric bill, yes, is contributing to the funds to reduce our consumption and demand in order to achieve the 2045 100% renewable goals. So the first step is conservation and efficiency, and then renewables kind of in parallel with that.
All right, thank you very much. All right, so we're going to go ahead and thank you very much, Dan. Appreciate you guys coming down. Appreciate your time. Yes. So next, we'll go ahead and head off to Autumn Moon and Lantern Festivals, Smith Baratania Park on Friday, September 29th from 3 o'clock to 8 o'clock by Lisa, CID. I don't need on. I got all. My lines are.
Good evening. Take my mask off. So I'm here to talk about our annual festival. We do it, this year we're doing it in Smith Baratania Park like last year. It'll be Friday, September 29th, which is the night of the full moon, the harvest moon. We'll have activities in the park, and then we work with businesses in Chinatown to do lanterns outside of businesses throughout the district. So we put up about 100 last year, and we'll probably do more this year. So as I mentioned in our report at July's neighborhood board meeting, our festival will be held on Friday, September 29th, 3 to 8. There will be mooncakes, light food and drinks, free family-friendly cake activities offered between 3 and 6 o'clock, including face painting, balloon twisting, lantern making, demonstrations, raffle prizes, an MC and entertainment, and a lantern parade. From 6 to 8 p.m., the event will wind down to those who would like to enjoy an evening in the park and listen to light music while viewing the full harvest moon. So there will be lanterns, as I said, hung outside businesses throughout Chinatown district. We encourage businesses, as we did last year, and several businesses did this, to create their own unique lanterns or decorate lanterns in celebrations of the festival. It should be a lot of fun for the whole family, and we hope everyone will stop by. Look for updates and the event scheduled to be posted to our Facebook page, which if you search for Chinatown Improvement District, you should be able to find. And also the Parks Department notified us that our event on Friday, the 29th, will be the only activity to be held in the park that day, and that the park will be cleared for our event.
All right, thank you. Do we have any questions coming from our public? Please step up. Hold on, sir. Please come up to the microphone. Please give me your name. Please state your name first, and then you can go ahead.
How's it? My name is Nessa. I'm a Vieira, haha, and Chinatown forever. Ma'am, I know you guys can do this in Chinatown, but where you gonna let the lanterns go? Are you guys not gonna let them go in the ocean this year? Okay. They're not gonna put them. So, and you're just gonna leave them there.
Could you use the mic because we got like 30 people on?
So the lanterns are going to be fixed outside the businesses and hung there. They don't float, they don't soar away, they don't go on water. Yeah.
My question is this. The Lantern Festival, like Viking, you send it to the ocean and it burns. Why are you leaving them all here again? Thank you.
So I think you misunderstood this. Yeah, so these lanterns are going to be hung on the businesses side. The businesses themselves usually keep them up for about 30 days, then they take them down.
They don't throw them away.
They don't throw them away, yeah.
It's a
Yeah,
different kind
this is a different type of lantern. Yeah, it's not the same.
It's not the same.
Yeah.
It's not the same. It's the event you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's different. Okay? Any other questions?
All right, thank you. Do we have anyone online that would like to address this?
No, that's not us, Kevin.
All right, next we'll go to our board members. I'm not seeing any, but if they pop up, I'll bring them on. Any board members have any questions? Shulon Superquark, please. Unmute, please. Please unmute, Shulon.
Unmute me. Thank you.
Oh,
So
you're unmuted now.
I just want to congratulate Stack on doing this Lantern Festival for a long time. Last year, a few of us actually tried to climb and hang the lanterns over many places in Chinatown. And it's really added a festive mood to the Lantern Festival, which happens to be the second biggest festival on the Chinese calendar and is celebrated all over the world. And I like the idea that Lee is doing kiddies programs and there's mooncake tasting, because a lot of people cannot afford the mooncakes, and that you're willing to share some of your mooncakes and also have some music it will make it a very fabulous full moon night. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Shulan. Go ahead, next, board member Laurie McCartney, please.
Aloha. Lee, sounds like a fabulous event. The only question I have is that flyer, I thought that was the flyer for the event. But you said that that's not it? Chinese Chamber of Commerce is not involved, or what am I missing? Thank you.
Chinese Chamber of Commerce is, they're having an annual tea. They do a tea tasting and mooncake tasting event. They're doing it on Saturday. And then 808 this year is also going to do a moon festival at the Cultural Plaza, a moon festival celebration. They're doing it later than ours on Friday, and then they'll also hold it on Saturday. So we have a separate poster. It's the one, I think I gave it to you guys before. It was posted on the.
So it's actually, if I believe, if you go back to last month, it's on last month's drive because this is when she brought it up. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it is in August. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Right.
Chair.
We will be moving. Hold on. We will be moving it also into the September drive today. Okay. But it is in the August drive. All right. And before we go any further, back to you, Shulan. Anyone else?
No, I just want to address Laurie's question, which is very good because it's kind of confusing.
Shulan, please.
Am I recognized?
You're not recognized. Laurie went, not going to get anybody else first before I come back to you. Thank you. Yeah. Anybody else on the board here has any question? Okay, there is none. You may go ahead and do your follow-up question.
All right, this is just to address Laurie's question that I'm sure many people have also, because the Chinese Chamber one is a expensive mooncake tasting of several samples and tea tasting. I believe it's like $55, and it's going to be at the Legend, so you can register with the Chamber of Commerce. The 808 one is going to be a couple of tables at the Chinese Cultural Center. So it's more like a family event. Okay?
All right, so here are no other questions. Thank you very much, Lee.
Thank you.
Laurie, I'll go ahead and send you the applications for the Chinese Chamber of Commerce. I am a member of them. So I'll go ahead and send you any information you need for that, okay?
Thank you. I think it's posted in the September drive, and that I didn't look back at the August one to see the 808.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it, Laurie. Thank you. All right. Next up, we should have Sandra Poe. Sandra Poe is doing Downtown Arts Center, DAC, mural painting of the rabbit using anti-graffiti paint adjacent to the basketball courts, yeah? And her date, the dates that she's doing hers is Wednesday and Thursday, so that would be the 27th and 28th, and then come back on Saturday, the 30th. All right, go ahead.
Okay, so I'm Sandra Paul, and we're doing a community celebration. I like that everything's happening on that one weekend, Friday, Saturday, and all the different nonprofits are involved in different things. It makes Chinatown look so active and the place to be that weekend. Ours is, we're painting a mural of this rabbit jumping and in the back of the basketball court. It's really a very fun image. And this image here is what's going to be on the basketball backcourt board. So we're going to have plein air painters come out and paint that day. And we're getting Special Olympics to come, a team from Special Olympics to come and shoot baskets, free throw for the free throw lines, and possibly doing some drills that morning. It'll be fun.
All right. Thank you very much. Do we have any questions from any of our members in the audience?
Yeah, it's good.
Go ahead. Ms. Lisa, please go ahead.
This is more a comment on the event. So I support the beautification of the park and their efforts, but I wish it would be on a different weekend. And I understand the Park Service has asked them to do it on a different weekend. It doesn't need to be the same days as our event, the CID event. And we've been building our event now for several years with our time, energy, and ideas. We were contacted by Sandy Pohl in May saying she didn't want to conflict with our event, and yet here we are. So we feel that their event could easily be moved to another weekend. But they told Parks they had already lined up press for it a month ago. As I said, Parks has encouraged them to hold the event another weekend, but they were not willing to do that. And so Parks has asked them to clear the park for the 29th, which is when our event will be held. I feel I'm speaking personally, I feel this is very deliberate. I feel it's what a very competitive business would do to harm another business and confuse people. It's not how nonprofits are supposed to operate, respectful of others' energy, ideas, and efforts. Last year, we offered DAC a table at the event, which is standard fare for nonprofits participating in others' events. But somehow that wasn't enough. So in summary, DAC's timing and location, I feel, is both deliberate, hurtful, and as Taylor Swift would say, mean. It's just mean. So again, I support their efforts for this project, but on a different weekend, not in conflict with the CID's event.
All right, thank you. Do we have any other members in the public who wish to address this? No? Okay, then. Any members online? Anyone online? Okay, get the board. Please come up. Thank you.
Hello, one more time. My name is Nessa. I'm gonna say this. Art Association, yeah, whatever they do stands up for community. This lady said this has been going on for years. I've never seen that lantern ceremony in Chinatown. I'm here all my life. The art is gonna be here forever. So if you guys have a conflict, I vote art because that stuff ain't it. Thank you, ma'am.
Do we have any other person in the public? Hearing none, we are going to go to our board members. Any board members have any questions? And to my right, none on my right? To my left? See, go ahead, board member Lai.
Thank you, Chair. Ms. Pohl, just a quick question. I note the plan to paint 2 backboards at the mini park there. Do you know if those backboards and the basketball court will be staying there with a planned conversion or addition of a pickleball court?
So I asked for clarification from the city about the pickleball court. And as far as I understand it, that they are going to build a separate pickleball court, because why would you ruin a perfectly good basketball court? The reason why people don't use that basketball court is one backboard has no basket, and the other backboard, every time you throw the ball, there's splinters that come down. Nobody can use that. And so we're just trying to activate the park. As far as Lee is concerned, I totally understand that. We tried our best to change our date, but that was the only date that that was convenient for the artist. 1 week, because he is leaving on a trip right after. We tried to have it before, but it didn't work out because I couldn't get all the permits ready. So I apologize sincerely that we have it on the same weekend. And thank you for bearing with us.
All right, thank you. No, thank you very much. No, I'm taking questions from the board. I already went to the public. Let me get, well, go ahead, board member Travis, please.
Thank you for your presentation. This might be a better question for the city, but as far as the power washing from an environmental standpoint, is there effort to make sure all that paint doesn't just run into the gutter and then into the Alawa or to the river, or do you know what they're doing to make sure that's kind of environmentally friendly?
Good question. So what happens is the backboard is in the court. When they power wash it, it'll go into where the trees are right there. So it'll kind of water. It probably hasn't been power washed in 30 years because that park is about 30 years old.
Okay, thank you. Next, we have Board Member Lori McCartney, please. Unmute, please. Lori, can you unmute?
Oh, yeah, sorry about that. So far, there's 3 things going on during this weekend. I think that's fantastic. So what I'm wondering is if there's a way to coordinate communication around it, because different things will draw different people and different things will be of different interest to people. So if they are going to happen at the same time, is there a way for the Chinese Chamber of Commerce, 808, and the arts community, the Downtown Arts Center, to get together, do a joint press release? Sandra, if you have people coming out or you already have a press release going, is there a way to incorporate into that some of the other stuff going on? Because I think we have a better chance of getting the media out to cover something, because there's so much activity that it could be very positive for us. So if it's going to be all on this weekend, let's take advantage of that. And I would hope that you all could work together to help each other in that regard, because I think it will benefit all of you.
That's a great idea. We will, with Lee's permission, we will send out her flyer and include her event in our press release so that people, the media will know that there's lots going on in Chinatown. But I have to ask permission first.
Of course. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So go ahead. I'm going to give you one more time to speak. Go ahead. You can need to go up to.
There's not one bathroom in Chinatown in a 6-block radius. Not one, except Olive Park, where people get stabbed and killed in. Homemade bathroom. Smith Park is a good place for everybody. I love Smith Park. You know something? There's ladies, Miss Kent, they're 93 years old. They'll donate for croquet, for everything. They said anything. They'll put in a pavilion if I like. But you know what? There's no place for people to go to the bathroom. There's no phone. There's no running water.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate it. So you can bring this up during public concerns. Right now, we're talking about an event. As far as
That's the
bathrooms,
event.
we will
Where
address-
they going to piss? Where they going to piss at your event?
So these events usually put up parties, yeah? Thank you. All right, Lee, before I let you go, there's one thing I would like to ask, okay? Because somehow I got crunched in all of this because our Lions donated to this basketball court. I'm working with CID on this other event, on putting on the Outer Moon event. So the only thing that was required and asked by Keith from the Parks and Recreation is that he wants it to make sure that there is nothing in the park so that the Lions and the Masons and everybody else can come into the park on the 29th and do their festival. Do you agree with that?
He did address that to me, and we had planned already to have everything done. All we're doing between the day we paint and the day we put the anti-graffiti paint is to watch paint dry.
Okay, so there's not going to be any equipment in the park?
No equipment.
Okay, that's what we need to get from you. I do appreciate that. Now, if you guys want to talk about this press release, you guys can go ahead, all right? Thank you very much. Appreciate it, Sandy. Thank you. Next, we have Mark Tyrone. We're going to time this. Mark Tyrone will be talking about Hullabaloo.
R6 to unmute.
All right, so Mark, just so you know, this is 15 minutes, yeah? And try 15 minutes, meaning 15 minutes to speak and 15 minutes to take questions, I'm sure you're probably going to go over, but that's the guidelines. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Aloha, Chair Cavallo, and our board members and members of the public as well. My name is Mark Terone. I am the co-director of the Hawaii Festival and am here today to talk about the plans for this year and the past benefits of Hawaii festivals. And my agenda for this presentation is I'm going to start off with an overview of the event, and then I'm going to discuss some of the details of our footprint and our program. Then I'm going to go on to our safety, security, and monitoring plan. And I'll end with benefits that have been realized by Chinatown from the event. And obviously, we will hear from questions from the board and from the public as well. And I'll start off with an introduction to me. There's some board members who are new to me. Again, my name is Mark Terone. I have an office at the Arts at Mark's Garage. I've had an office there since 2009. And this will be my 21st street festival in Chinatown since 2008. This is the 14th edition of Hullabaloo. Thank you. This is the 14th edition of Hullabaloo, and I did about 6 Mardi Gras events, and I also did a Peace Festival back in 2008 as well, the anniversary of Woodstock that year. Excuse me, well, yeah, one of the, I can't remember, there was an anniversary at some point of that year, but right on. Summary of last year, it was, Sandy mentioned the place to be for their arts festival, and Hullabaloo was the place to be for Halloween, which is really, I arguably, Oahu's most celebrated night of the year. And the people across the island said, I want to be in Chinatown for the most creative night of the year. And in fact, it was people across Hawaii were saying that. We had a lot of people fly in from neighbor islands, and we also had people that flew in from mainland. So it was the largest event of last year in Chinatown, to my knowledge. And before the event, it was so much talk about Hullabaloo is back. We're so happy it's back. We want to come to Chinatown and enjoy this event. We had a classic Hullabaloo audience. I founded Hullabaloo in 2008 and always focused on the programming and the creativity. And that has had the result of bringing a diverse group down. So the age, if you look at our photos from last year, if you were there, the age demo is 25 years old to 75 years old. It's a great diverse audience. We spoke with HPD afterwards, who was on site. We hired 29 HPD special duty officers, and there were no on-site incidents. I'll get into that in a bit, but it was a healthy, fun celebration. And then in addition, brought major economic benefits to the neighborhood. One of the Chinatown bars, who I've known for a long time, had their biggest night ever. It was one of the first bars of the kind of renaissance of Chinatown. They had their most revenue ever in their history. In addition, Arts at Mark's Garage had either their largest day of revenue or right up there. So we're supporting nonprofits as well. And Hawaii Theater had a lot of people through their door and significant revenue as well. So that's my summary of last year, and we'll move on to the Hullabaloo footprint for this year, as well as our program. And the footprint is exactly the same as last year, except we've redesigned our entry points. All the sidewalks leading into the festival are open, and I have that pointed out on the map, and that is access ways open on every single sidewalk. In addition, we have the same HPD. We're requesting the same amount of HPD special duty officers as past years, 29, and we're actually bringing in more private security to help manage all those sidewalk entrances and make sure that everyone coming into the festival is not bringing alcohol and does not look like they pose a risk. That's actually, we're estimating about an $8,000 to $10,000 cost to do that actually with our staffing. And that's a commitment that we've made this year. Also, the management team of the festival is the same as last year. I have 2 partners, Mike Almici and Jonathan Mack, who've been partners the last 5 or 6 years. They're with me as well. And our main team with the event, with managing our staff, is back as well. And the programming, again, a little bit of a broken record, but it's the same type of programming as last year, the same stages. There's one new item is we plan to have background music in our food court. So we eliminated a stage last year. There used to be a stage at the intersection of Nuuanu Avenue and King Street. And based on some feedback from a member of the community, we eliminated that stage to reduce noise levels. But we noticed that the energy, there was good energy there, but background music, which wouldn't bother people. It's not like a performance. It's literally background music while you're having food. So that's the only significant change, and I wouldn't call it a significant change, but that's the only change of programming. And then last year, we had no liquor violations, no noise complaints, and myself and Chair Carvalho spoke with HPD independently. So after that, I spoke with them, he spoke with them separately, and both got great feedback. The feedback that I received was from Lieutenant Hai Shin Lin, and he said it was a well-behaved group and the event felt safe. He said there were no signs of underage drinking or over-service, no incidents of violence or property damage on site. And there were 2 arrests. One person was accused of nonviolent harassment, and a male attendee of the festival pinched the backside of a police officer and was arrested. Kevin Lai, I came to and did a post-event report in February, and Kevin did bring up there was an altercation at his building that he was told were people from the Hawaii Festival. Unfortunately, I don't have much information on that incident. So I have no way to verify if it was people from the festival or if what the exact circumstances were. And I'm not confronting Kevin here. It's literally just, it's hard for me to act on that in any way at the moment with the information that I have, because there was no police report, and no one has contacted me directly except when that was brought up. I'm not saying we don't take it seriously, but we've had a great track record and look forward to continuing to have a great track record. Right on. I'm gonna move on to the next item, and that is some details about our security. First off, we have radio communications between our teams. So as I mentioned, we have on-site 29. We're requesting 29 special duty officers. We will be in contact with their lieutenant on a radio at all times. We'll be able to raise him on a radio. So if there's a tsunami like we had in 2012 and cell phones go down and you can't use your cell phone to call anybody, we can reach HPD on our radios. The same goes for our private security personnel. We'll have at least 58 private security personnel working for the festival. Those 29 HPD officers also are paid by the festival. They will be on radios as well, the managers of the private security. And we have a stage manager at our 2 entertainment stages, and there's also a street cabaret that has a stage manager as well who we communicate with on radio. During that evacuation year, we had to evacuate because of the tsunami in 2012. That proved to be very effective. We got our stage managers on our radios, and they made announcements and told people that they needed to leave and that they could use any exit to leave. It's just that, it was time to go home. So we have that, and we also have first responders every year, and this year included at our headquarters, our street headquarters, which is on the corner of Hotel Street and New Wano Avenue. Our festival entrances, again, every sidewalk will be open, and there will be staffed by 2 people, someone from the festival that we train to answer questions, and also a private security person to do a bag check. We are required to make sure no alcohol is brought into the event, and then it's also it is a good process to just evaluate if someone looks like they might be coming to have trouble. We haven't had altercations at the event. But it's that security is good there just to get that pre-screening. And then we also have a festival monitoring team. This team has 2 duties. One is to peruse the festival during the event and take sound level readings. It's something we started last year. So they're going to be reporting sound levels at our stages and some other areas throughout the event. They're going to move, to different areas throughout the event. And then also a team to inspect our entrances to make sure we have signage up that says public right of way. And they're also going to be testing our staff to make sure that they're communicating all the right messages to people who are coming into the festival. That's new. Monitoring the sound levels. We had that team in place last year. This year, we're adding that team to check our entrances throughout the event. Just going from one entrance to the next during the event. And we've also added additional staff training with it. We've provided them with an information packet last year about the event with the policies. This year, we're also requiring them to take a test and join a Zoom call. And as I mentioned, we have a monitoring team that will be testing them in person at the event. And this is my last bit, and then we'll open it up to questions. Just summarizing the benefits, some major benefits of the event. And I want to start on one that I think is unfortunately overlooked too often, and it's a huge one, and that is the health. NPR had an article they released earlier this year, and the title of the article is "America Has a Loneliness Epidemic." And then it went on to say, there's an epidemic of loneliness in the United States, and lacking connection can increase the risk of premature death to levels comparable to smoking 15 cigarettes a day. I produce events because it uplifts our community. It brings people together, establishes connections, and it gives you a sense of belonging that is absolutely critical to health. I had a friend just last weekend I went surfing with, and he's like, Mark, I'm going to be straight up with you. I've been struggling a bit. I turned the news on, and there's all this negative information, and I'm having a hard time. And that's exactly that example. Is there's a lot of people in those shoes. You know, we have a very heated political climate. There's climate crises left and right. And you start to feel isolated, like everything, you know, and nothing's going to work. These events are critical to establish those connections between us, you know, with friends that come down together. It's things they talk about for years, and it helps them bond for years. And then there's all kinds of new interactions, people meeting new people for the first time. It's so much more social than a restaurant or a bar. And so huge health benefits to building community and individual health. And then lastly, the economic benefits. As I mentioned, people across the island and the state saying, I want to celebrate the most creative night of the year in Chinatown. There's no event that had that kind of reach and got that kind of chatter to that level as Hullabaloo. And then foot traffic. Through the night, we probably had about 7,000 people at any given time, but through the night, we had about 10,000 people in Chinatown, and many of those people come back. We've heard from businesses year after year that they talk to people, and then later they say, oh yeah, I was down here for Hullabaloo, and I saw your restaurant, I had to come back, or I saw your gallery, and maybe you weren't open that night, but I made a point that I'm going to come back. I really want to check out this gallery. So great foot traffic. And as I mentioned, some great economic benefits as well. As one of the bars reported last year that it was their record night. And let's see. That covers things for my summary, and I will open things up to questions.
All right, so before we go, he went over his time of 15 minutes. So hold on. So we will go ahead and give the public and the board a chance to speak. Mark, we're going to ask that you keep your answers direct, yeah? Because we can't, everything has to go in order. We need to finish these, yeah? Because we never
Understood.
get to finish, okay? So do we have anyone in our audience who wishes to speak at this moment? Anyone? Please come up and state your name.
Hi, my name is Jasmine Mankos. Hi.
Just excuse me one moment, Jasmine. So we're going to ask people in the audience, you know, to keep your comments to yourself, not to be yelling, not to be clapping, and all, just to keep everything running smoothly. Thank you. Sorry about that. Go ahead, Jasmine.
No worries. Okay, my name is Jasmine Mankos. I own Proof Social Club, which is in downtown Chinatown. I bought it in 2020, and for about 8 years before that, I also lived and worked in Chinatown. I was on the Chinatown Neighborhood Board for a term. And I just wanted to speak in support of Hullabaloo. It's a really great event. It's really well organized. It's certainly not Mark's first rodeo. I always feel really safe from the over 10 years that I've been a participant in it. The event is really well managed. It's family friendly in the beginning. I was watching Henry Capono on the main stage last year, and there was kids in strollers. It was cool, and everybody just enjoying the creativity and the costumes and the food. It's not just about the drinking. It's definitely an event that brings a lot of people to our neighborhood who maybe wouldn't come down here, and then it brings them back. And from an economic standpoint, it's definitely really important. I'll go on the record and say it was definitely the busiest night of my bar last year. It's really great. And, we pay taxes on all the drinks that we sell. It just pumps money right back into the community. But I think the more important aspect is getting people into our neighborhood, checking it out. We have kind of a reputation, and this is a really good jumping off point, I think, for people to come and see what we're all about in downtown Chinatown.
All right, I appreciate that, and I appreciate your establishment.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Go ahead, Ms. Stack.
Are you taking comments from people on the phone yet?
No, not yet. We're still working on the people in the audience, please. Thank you.
So I don't have much to say. I wanted to summarize some emails primarily from the beginning of this year, but I know that Carl Rhodes wrote in January opposing Hullabaloo early. And this email is related to that. So I thought I would read it. It's Roger Morton's, the head of DTS's response to Carl's email. And Roger says, "Aloha, Senator Rhodes. Thank you for your letter opposing any further permitting of the Hullabaloo Street Festival. I agree the applicant did not take appropriate steps to limit noise levels and did not keep the streets open to the public who did not pay for a wristband. I was very disappointed at the violations." And then he said, "Mahalo for sharing your concerns." So I just wanted to make you aware of that.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Stack. Anyone else? Go ahead. Then please, your name first.
Thank you. Aloha, my name is Kathy Lowenberg, and I work in downtown. And for the last 4 months, I've been participating in First Friday in Chinatown. And what I have to say is that I remember First Friday before the pandemic, when I was in law school with Mark Tyrone. First Friday was one of the most energizing, vibrant days of the year in Chinatown. And I have to say, the last 4 months that I've been in Chinatown for First Friday, everyone comments that it's dead. Like, even after the pandemic, the business, the people have not returned. The culture, the art, the vibrancy that makes Chinatown has not returned. And I think that what makes Chinatown, Honolulu so unique is the art, is the music, is the history and the culture and the vibrance. And just knowing Mark and knowing his capability of seeing Hullabaloo all these years, especially coming out of the pandemic, I want to speak in support of Hullabaloo for just bringing people, culture, music, life, enjoyment, a sense of belonging back to Chinatown. So I'm speaking in support.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate that. Anyone else in our public in here? No, it's not about this liking or liking.
Right here. It's hold on. Hello. Yeah. I'm not a sir. First of all, I'm Nessa. My name is Vanessa. I'm not a man.
Vanessa.
Thank you, sir. Call me Nessa.
Vanessa.
Now, why is there? Okay, listen. I'm gonna say this. This man right here, what he does before that thing starts, get babies. They hold in their hands, and the babies come and see, and then the big kids come and see, and the dads and moms come and see. So this is the best thing that Chinatown. Everybody supports it. Everybody shows up. Everybody's smiling. And you know what? We can have croquet in the park too at Smith Park. We need a bathroom. But this guy's doing a good thing. Swear to God. He's doing a good thing all the way around. That lady, I never did see that lantern party in my life. And I'm here all my life.
Sir.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. I mean, ma'am. Nessa. Go on. Okay, go ahead. So about that, Vanessa. Okay, do we have someone there on the cell phone? Hello, cell phone caller.
Yeah, sorry about that. I had it muted. Hi, my name is John Stallings, and I'm calling to voice my support for Hullabaloo Festival. I have gone most every year that they've done it. We would take the kids down there early. They would love to go down there and watch all the costumes. Of course, as it gets a little bit later, it's less young kid friendly, but it was still a very fun event. Actually, probably the safest I've felt being in Chinatown in the past, 15 years. I just am hopeful that they put it together and he can do it again. Mark's a great promoter. I've been to many of his events here in Honolulu over the past 15 or 20 years. And just hopefully you guys can get the permit issued and let us have some fun down there. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you. You have a good day. Go ahead, Gregory Dunn. Thank you.
Aloha. Thank you, Chair Carvalho. My name is Gregory Dunn. I'm the president of the Hawaii Theater Center. Last year for Hullabaloo, we were thrilled to be able to be a major part of the festival. The theater brought in a Broadway show of The Three Phantoms, and we did a costume concert where families were invited to come down early, and we had about 800 people that came to the concert and then enjoyed Hullabaloo afterwards. And then the theater remained open and had a late night movie to encourage revelers who were on the street and wanted to come inside and get off the street and help with some of the noise abatement. We plan on doing the same thing this year. We're partnering with the Hawaii Symphony Orchestra, who will be featuring the film Ghostbusters along with the symphony. So you know, I think the overarching theme here is we're looking to support major events that bring large numbers of people into our neighborhood and take advantage of the arts and culture. That's one of the things that we're doing to participate and help to create activities that the community can enjoy and participate in. And I would highly encourage the neighborhood board to vote in support of Hullabaloo and issuing, you know, the necessary permits so we can continue with this festival.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Dunn. We appreciate everything you're doing at the theater. Awesome job. All right. Next, we have Senator Carl Rhodes.
Thanks very much. Yeah, as Lee Stack said, I'm opposed to it. I haven't always been opposed to it. It's been around a while, and when we first started, I wanted to give them a chance. But I think, unlike what Mr. Tyrone said, their track record isn't very good. There's been lots of noise complaints. There have been other violations, and every year they promise that things are going to be different this year, and they never are. So they don't seem to understand that there's thousands of people who live in Chinatown who, if the music doesn't go off at the time that they say it's going to go off, then they don't get a good night's sleep because the residential buildings are right there. So I'm opposed. I mean, if it's such a great festival, then maybe it's time to take it to a different neighborhood that will appreciate it more, or at least rotate it through neighborhoods if nobody really wants it, so that we don't have to be we don't have to bear the brunt of the problems year after year after year. Thank you.
All right. All right. Next, we have Marty. Hello, Marty.
Aloha, guys. Aloha, Council. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
So I'm Marty Simjian. I'm one of the managing partners for Next Door, the Other Side Diner, Dash of Saison, and the Walk-In H&L. I'm here to support Mark Tyrone and Hullabaloo. I see the impact that all the good that his events do to the community. It brings families. It brings people that would never come to Chinatown. Everyone has a good time. We've never seen any bad incidents on Hullabaloo nights. It's a great platform for local vendors to set up shop, sell their wares, local restaurants to do pop-ups, expose their food and their shops to more members of the community. And it just brings a lot of people to Chinatown. It brings awareness to Chinatown. And it helps a lot of people see that we do good things down here and we have a great community. I've been in Chinatown over a decade, since 2009, and I love these neighborhoods. I've done my best to take care of them. And really, I mean, these big community events are proven to strengthen the bond between the people, law enforcement, everything. This does nothing but help benefit the community. And I just want to go on record as showing my support for Mark in the event.
All right. Thank you very much. And I do appreciate your establishments. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Is there anyone else in the audience online? Go ahead, Dan Masters.
Dan Mestis, just speaking on behalf of myself, not my employer. Lived in Chinatown for about 5 or 6 years now, been to hundreds of events in Chinatown. The reason why I live there is because of the art in the community. I've performed music in Chinatown as well as photography in Chinatown, and it's my favorite place. And I just want to show 100% support for Hullabaloo and all of the businesses and community members down there as well. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Do we have any other? In fact, I will take a last comment from anyone in the audience or online before I move to the board.
I have something.
Sir, ma'am, please keep your voice down, please. Thank you. Sorry, I do appreciate that, Vanessa. But now we'll go to our board members. We start off with member Schubert Kwok. Go ahead, Shulon. Shulon, unmute yourself, please.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Now we can. Go ahead, please.
Okay.
Remember,
I will oppose this hullabaloo for various reasons. One, they were charging people wristband for checking them to buy liquor at 21 years old last year and every year. And then I was not satisfied with Mark Theron's answer that there was a communication problem with his people. Check yourself and check a lot of people who called in very disappointed that they had to pay between $25 to $75 to come into the festival, which is free. The city doesn't charge them. And this was my biggest beef with Mark Theron not telling the truth. Second thing is, we didn't have enough parties. There were more people than they claimed that they would be having, all right? And the noise, even after the music is done at 10 o'clock, people, the tents are not down. And I'm not happy that there's no beer tent to contain the liquor in one place. We talked about this last year. Have a beer tent. Where is the beer tent? So I cannot, in good conscience, support somebody who lies to me year after year. Okay? That's it.
All right. Thank you. Next, we have board member Lai.
Thank you, Chair. Mark, Charlie Brown, Lucy, football. You know, I really appreciate what you do, your entrepreneurism, what you're trying to do for the area, but I just have 4 quick questions in my minute span. Regarding the ticket gates, you recall the letter I sent to you in February of this year was about the long lines and people waiting in line, only to find out later on that, oh, they did not need to pay to get in. Will there be new signage, some way to improve that process? Number 1, to streamline people getting in. Number 2, to make sure that people aren't getting fooled or directed to the wrong place. Number 2, noise issues. Will your folks who are controlling the noise, how will they be contacted by the public? Are they going to be wearing a vest to identify themselves? What if someone is up in a tower but senses a loud volume? Who will they contact and how, if there's a way to address that? Third, alcohol in the streets. I was hoping to have some sort of economic breakdown. I know you're operating as a private organization and don't want to show all your secret sauce, but how does the funding for this or the sales, how does it trickle down truly to other organizations, other shops who are along the streets? Lastly, and related, what will be your estimated outlay for HPD special duty, 29 officers for several hours? That's got to be a significant expense. And I can reiterate those as you need, but thank you.
No, not this time. No, yeah, go ahead. No, yeah, you can respond to that. You can respond to that. No, you can respond to that now.
I would like to respond to some of the other statements, but I'm going to restrict this to Kevin's direct questions, and thank you for the direct questions. Regarding number 1 with signage and making sure people know that a wristband is not needed to enter. Yes, and that's part of that monitoring. Well, that is something we've addressed, and I've mentioned in my summary, is that every sidewalk is open and has assigned public right of way. In addition, we have 2 people there this year. We don't just have security, which is not always as most reliable with communications. There's a security person there to do the bag check that we're required to do, but we also are having our own staff there who has to join a Zoom meeting, review an information packet, and take an online test in order to work the event. And then we also have a team monitoring that is going to be checking that signage throughout the event and testing our staff. I can't say that every single person we tested, but we're going to send sting operations through the entrances and say, hey, I'm trying to get to a restaurant, or do I need a wristband to get in? And so we have that. That is all brand new. The cost of that we're estimating is about $10,000 just for that, not HPD, because you've got about 32 people between it's about 18 sidewalks, and that's 2 people. That's 32 people for the whole night. It's about an $8,000 to $10,000 cost. Regarding HPD, our private and our HPD, that cost alone is $20,000. Last year, the event cost approximately $250,000. It's possible because we work with a lot of the bars in the area, and we've created an event that people want to support. But it's a massive risk, and we haven't seen any new hullabaloos. You haven't seen any new major street festival in Chinatown. There has been a new one in over 10 years. They're very difficult to do. And then the last part on the economics, a great deal. There's a lot of people on the island that we employ. Again, we spent about $250,000 last year. So that money is pretty much almost entirely Hawaii-based that we spend in it. Artists, security, bartenders, and on, people to clean up, our staff to help people out, and then in addition, you have the direct revenue that the businesses received. Last year, one of Marty's partners told me again that Nextdoor had the highest revenue they've ever had in the history of the business. So I would think that's at least $150,000 of revenue that night that people are bringing in. And lastly, the noise. I'm quite dismayed by the noise complaints I've received tonight, because we received no noise complaints at the night event. I'll come back to that. You were just asking if. I'm sorry, I'm a little rattled by and very surprised by those complaints. But regarding what do people do, we provide contact information in that stakeholder. The email the notice that I sent to the people that are typically the most concerned. It has a contact for our production manager, who's Mike Almici, and it has his phone number on that. I'm happy to think of ways to make sure people know that contact information. Historically, if someone had an issue, many people's first reaction is called the Liquor Commission, and the Liquor Commission has people at the event every year. They were there last year. We had no violations, but they were on site at some point of the event. They said, Mark, they always check in with me, and they say, have you had any incidents? And then they go over their experiences at the event. Every single year I have that meeting. It's not a planned meeting, but I know it's coming because they're there every year. And then DTS always has at least one representative on site, Kevin. So I don't have that person's contact information now, but they do have a city cell phone with them. So we can make a DTS phone number available as well.
All right, thank you. I'm going to ask questions to be really direct, questions to be on point. We're going on 45 minutes. Go ahead, Board Member Armstrong.
Thank you, Chair. Mark, I'm generally supportive of what you're doing. I wish you were an easier client in which to work with, because it's some of the comments from the board members is very apt in terms of we have been told one thing and then another thing occurs. And I just want to clear up one record in that you said St. Mark's Garage is a nonprofit. It is not. It's a commercial property. The parking garage is a commercial entity. But I have 2 questions for you. The first is there any effort whatsoever at making this a Halloween kind of event? Because I know what you've done in the past, and I see what you have in front of us, but I don't get any sense of Halloween other than the patrons generally come with costumes. And then the second question is, there's a huge area of innovation that you could show, and we've never seen it, and that is with individual artists performing at Hullabaloo, buskers. No festival, as far as I know, makes use of them in the Chinatown area, but I know that there are people you just have to work at getting them to come and perform, on the streets. So those two questions, if you wouldn't mind.
Sure. Thank you for your comments. And yeah, my direct responses to your question. I misspoke. I was trying to refer to the arts at Mark's Garage rather than the parking lot. But I thank you for making that correction, so it's on the record. And then regarding Halloween, I created the event to celebrate Halloween. I often use the term Halloween Aloha, and I believe it's central to our marketing. And we see how many people come down in costumes. It's almost all people in costumes. So I think I think we're doing a darn good job of bringing out that creativity. I'd be happy to hear, what you see otherwise. So I'm not, saying I don't believe you, but I'm just my initial, off the cuff reaction. And I do have an idea. I can't do it this year, but I would like to do a jack-o'-lantern live auction. And I work with Joe Typel. He's a world-class auctioneer. Have top chefs around the island do jack-o'-lanterns, and then have all the money raised go to a Chinatown nonprofit. That's something I want to do. I've been talking to Hulu Magazine about it. I am unable to make that happen this year, but those are things I think about and seek to do.
Well, I was just saying that it's not very hard to come up with Halloween-themed things on a Halloween weekend for all ages, but I don't want to extend this conversation longer.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying that. I much better understand. And there's one question I didn't address, and that is regarding the buskers. Last year, we added a component that speaks to the Halloween aspect and the busing aspect. We did a street cabaret, and we're doing it again this year, and it's interactive. So it's not just, hey, somebody's up there on the stage. They're literally on the street. We did a Chinese herb shop. And people could come in, and our herbs were candy, and there were skits all night long with people in costume and doing, taking on another persona. So it speaks to, I believe, your point.
All right, thank you. I'm trying to get this through. So thank you. Go ahead, Board Member McDonald.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair, and thank you for being here, Mark. If I have two questions, one for Mark and then a procedural question for the Chair and the neighborhood assistants. My only question for Mark is, you have my full support. I absolutely believe that these types of events are vital to this community and its businesses and its residents as well. And the question that I would have for you, we lost our St. Patrick's Day celebration this last year, and we lost a few others as well, partially due to COVID, but there are other reasons behind that as well. My question to you would be, what other things do you have that you might be interested in planning for us, like perhaps reviving the St. Patrick's Day celebration or a New Year's celebration, or there are several excuses. Just before you answer, I'll let him go. I get a follow-up? Okay.
Great to hear the interest in having additional events regarding St. Patrick's Day. I know that Black Shamrock Tavern, the former O'Toole's, the owner, is planning on reviving that event, which has been one of the biggest draws in Chinatown for years. It was my first time coming to Chinatown was for St. Patrick's Day, and I fell in love that first time I was here. So right now I'm really focused on Habaloo. I have offered support to Black Shamrock Tavern, not as my event, but just let him know I'm available for support if that helps them out.
All right, thank you. Go ahead, follow up.
So for the Chair and the neighborhood assistant, is it appropriate now to ask board to vote in support of this event?
Well, we're not finished questioning it.
The event is next month, so.
No, we will get to that point.
Okay.
We're not finished yet. Go ahead.
Yeah. You don't need a motion of support.
No, he's looking for one.
It's not required.
Yeah. So with permits, it's not required. They just have to present. It is on the agenda. You guys can make that decision. But my recommendation was it's under presentations and not like an item of new business, which would have board action. That's just my thought.
Can we take action?
There's two items that from the public, if I could have a chance to address quickly if possible.
This question was addressed to us. Yes, we can. Once we're done with questions, okay? So, Mr. Michael Gray. So I had gone already through the public, and when you put your hand up, I was already with the board. So my question to you is, Are you asking to support or oppose?
I'm here to support the festival.
Okay, so that's all we need. We'll put you down to support. We've got all the support that we need on this end. We're going to end up stopping this at this time with my last questions. I will be the last one to ask you. All right, so Mark Tyrone, last year, many people complained because they had to pay to get into this event, and they were infuriated that they had to pay. I went through the line as a chair at that time, and they told me I had to pay. That is when I got a hold of you, finding out why we had to pay. That was a big thing. We also discussed the fact about moving this event to the Chinatown Cultural Center. And we also talked about having a beer garden instead of everybody walking around. Have you looked into any of those things?
Yes, I have discussed those with my partners and taken a close look at things. I'm going to start with the entry. Number one, DTS has made crystal clear that if there was a violation and people were told they needed to purchase a wristband, they would shut down the event on the spot. End of story. Shut the event down. Which, when you have $250,000 of expenses, is a major catastrophe that you pay for a really long time. I went over in my answer to Kevin the new things that we've taken to train staff and test the staff. So just addressing that question. And then as far as the beer garden, we've had very few violations, liquor violations. We had no liquor violations last year, and over the course of the event, the Liquor Commission has repeatedly told us we have a great track record. So I don't see a need, and it's problematic with it actually gets tight down there when you have a lot of people. We're in streets, we're not in some big park. And restricting those areas is a major challenge that we feel, if that's required, that we can't operate in Chinatown.
Okay. So as far as the DTS, this is my follow-up. As far as the DTS goes, I don't care what they told you. I know what I saw. I went down there and they told me I had to pay to get in. That I found to be a lie. They were letting certain people in and they were keeping other groups out, saying they couldn't get in unless they paid. I saw that. I wrote it down. Prior to the event, sir, ma'am, if you're going to keep on disturbing me, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. Prior to the event even opening, I had, and Ms. Yulon Kwok stated around, I had close to 100 calls of complaints already. I just want to bring this up. I appreciate everything you're doing, but I have to bring this up, yeah, to be fair to everybody. But I can tell you honestly, whatever DTS says, I went through that line. And they told me that I had to pay.
Right. I wasn't using DTS as an excuse. Just the opposite. What I'm saying is this year, DTS has made very crystal clear to us, if that were to happen at all, zero tolerance, the event is shut down.
Okay.
So I wasn't making an excuse at all. I absolutely understand severity, and we've implemented everything we possibly can. I do want to point out one aspect of that. For one, it was a serious error, and I've invested a lot in this event, and that's just about me, but I really believe in the community impacts. That's why I do this. I have a lot of student loan debt from 20 years ago. I drive a Nissan Leaf. I'm not a wealthy man, but I'm fulfilled because I see the benefits that these events bring. And so it means a lot to me when the event is in jeopardy, because that's the purpose of my life. And so I recognize the severity. We've taken everything we can. My last thing I want to say is, that's a major issue, but it was the only issue that I'm aware of. The noise complaints, there were no noise complaints.
No, I had no noise
There's none.
complaints. I had no noise complaints for my tower. You're correct.
And I want to add on to noise complaints because there was a major attack made on that by our senator, who I greatly respect, but I feel that's unfounded and it's not factually based. In 2018, Stephen Loos wrote a letter praising the event for its management of noise levels. In 2019, he did issue a complaint, and because of it, we eliminated the stage.
So I'm going to shut this down because I believe that Mr. McDonald wants to go ahead and make a motion.
All right. Then at this time, if all the questions are done, the presentation is finished. I'd like to make a proposal that the board have a vote in favor that we support this event here in Chinatown.
I second the motion.
So we have a motion and we have a second. Do we have anyone that opposes this? A discussion? Anyone, any discussions on this? I feel we went through the discussions. Go ahead, Shulang. Unmute yourself. Oh.
I oppose this because Mark was not candid with us for years. And
Okay.
We were short of parties. People were illegally charged. So I do not trust this man.
Okay.
And
You stated-
there was noise.
you have-
So I'm
you
opposed to
stated-
it.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any other discussions on this? We want to,
Thank you.
go ahead, board member.
Thank you, Chair. I would like to just, address this and especially in response to Senator Carl Rhodes' remarks. I've never seen a person that works so diligently against the people he's supposed to or pretends to represent as the Senator Carl Rhodes. From his response to COVID, to the homelessness and crime associated with it, to trying to squash events like this that our businesses and residents desperately want, need, and are in favor of. I can't understand how somebody who's supposed to represent us would be opposed to it. But he also mentioned the noise, and it was a direct attack. And I have to remind the senator and the people here that this is Chinatown. He was suggested removing it to a different neighborhood. This is Chinatown. This is where we do this. This was the red light district some years ago, and today it is still a thriving business district and is built for this kind of event. This is where we do it.
Okay, so I'm going to have to cut it at this point. Travis, you haven't heard from you all night. I'll give you the last statement.
I just want to move to vote.
Go ahead. You want to call the vote? Okay, we'll call for the vote.
I'll object to the vote.
Huh?
I've got to object
You object?
until we address. So I'm putting to the question, if someone has moved the question to vote, I'm objecting. Therefore, you need to have a vote.
If Board Member Lai still has further concerns, I'm happy to withdraw my move to vote, but just don't want any more political attacks.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. Board members, we just need to make sure that we can get, I hope, a endorsement from Mr. Tyrone that if we should proceed, if the event proceeds, that he bring to us a report, perhaps not on the 2nd of November, but no later than the 7th of December, about all the things that we happen, so we can make sure and find out that if all the talk and promises made tonight did come through. My analogy earlier to Charlie Brown, Lucy, and the football stands, I want to see this be successful. And he may not be obligated to do so, but I hope that he will commit to do so, to come back and give us a report. Thank you.
All right. I'll call for the vote. All right. Go ahead, Dylan, please. Roll call.
The motion on the table is to support the Hullabaloo 2023 event. Armstrong.
Aye.
Fitzsimmons.
Aye.
Isokane.
Aye.
McDonald.
Aye.
McCartney.
Aye.
Lai.
Aye.
Schubert Quack. Thompson.
Aye.
Carvalho.
Aye.
All right, motion passes with 8 in favor, 1 nay, no abstentions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tyrone. Go ahead.
Thank you. And if the event is permitted, I will be here in December to provide that post-event report.
Yeah, so I'll discuss that with you, yeah?
Thank you.
We'll discuss that with us. All right, next we're going to go ahead and head to our public concerns. Anyone in the public have any concerns that they would like to address at this time, they may do so. You have 2 minutes.
This is the first, I have a public concern, and this is the first neighborhood board that I've been to. And I'm very disappointed with two things. And with much respect to the chairperson, at least 5 times, I know Nessa, she's a colleague of mine through art. She told you several times she's homeless. I know Nessa, I've known Nessa for months. She lives in Chinatown on the streets, and I am personally offended that you, Chair, called her sir at least 4 to 5 times after she told you she's not a sir. And then you, Mr. Armstrong, this Nessa is your constituent. She has lived on the streets of Chinatown for at least 15 years. You looked at her and you told her to shut up. I saw your mouth and you told her to shut up. And I am flabbergasted and disgusted that you would tell any constituent to shut up. And I am so disappointed. And I will be here month after month accompanying Nessa because this is town. And for you to tell a constituent to shut up is appalling.
All right, I'm going to address him real quick because I can leave a comment. So I could. So I
Point
do
of order,
apologize,
Chair.
Nessa. I was in the Air Force, so everyone, whether they were male or female, we called sir. And that's how we grew up.
Point of order, Chair.
Yeah, I understand.
don't
I
think
made a
we're
mistake and I
supposed-
said, I'm sorry.
Chair, I don't believe we're supposed to respond to public comments. Point of order.
You can ask questions. Well, I did a. Go ahead. Anyone else? Go ahead, Nessa.
I'm here to address this. There's been so many deaths in the last 3 months in this town. Nobody addressed that. Nobody addressed the fentanyl. Nobody addressed the shit. You guys look down on everybody who look like me. I got dressed for this event. For real. Okay, and I respect each and every one of you, but respect us too. More stuff gotta happen to help the people on the street than you guys helping yourselves inside. There's still sidewalks broken, old ladies fall down. All those yellow freaking goddamn pieces of metal that they put in the street, hover-arounds are walking into curbs. There's so many things that Chinatown gotta fix so people can just live in Chinatown. No tell me shut up, you. No tell me shut up again. Okay? I meet you outside if you can do that to me again.
All right, so hold on.
No, I'm just saying.
No.
Oh, sir. That
Understand
was
where you're
man to
coming
man. Man to man. Woman to nobody. Listen,
Miss,
I'm just saying this. There's so many things you guys gotta address. I'm so glad you're gonna let Hullabaloo go. But what about the point that there's no bathrooms in town, no phones, no water, no nothing? Why don't you guys help fix the phones? Help that. Thank you very much. And you know what? I love Chinatown.
Thank you. So when Tyler DeSanto's representative come up, you can address the toilets, which we have been addressing for a long time with them to get us. Next. Anyone else? Anyone online? All right, Shulan Schubert, I think you might have missed, no, I'm not letting you on at this point. Shulan Schubert, I think you missed what I had said. No board member can speak during public concerns. If a board member has any concerns, they must send to me their concerns so that we can put it under board concerns. But effective immediately, I had stated this earlier, no board member can speak during public concerns.
Chair,
Mr. Kim.
is this where you wanted me to bring up our event for Mid-Autumn? Or
Yes, sir.
That's right. Yes, so so thank you for this opportunity. I know we had some confusion getting it on the agenda. I just wanted to clarify that Chinatown 808 and the Chinese Chamber of Commerce are working together to put together the Mid-Autumn Festival in the Cultural Plaza on the 29th evening from 5 to 9, 5 to 10, and then on Saturday the 30th from 9 to 10. It's all going to be within the Cultural Plaza. We'll be having food and craft booths, entertainment. We'll even have a telescope set up Friday night to view the moon and other stuff. And then we'll have a Home Depot working with us on Saturday morning to do a make and take craft for Keiki to work on. So it's all for free.
All right, thank you, Mr. Cam. I've already put you down on the agenda for next month. I'd like you first to speak, okay? Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak? It's public concern.
I'm going to have to call a point of order because I need to find some reference to the ruling by the chair and appeal so if necessary. Just walk us through where and how we're not able to talk about anything in public concerns in the absence of another area on our agenda which was stricken so we can discuss things.
So the reason why board concerns were stripped is because it's just plain old board concerns. OIP states that board concerns must say exactly what they're going to speak about. And therefore, since there was none coming through, they said they cannot just put board concerns and then everybody just runs up and says what their concern is, raising their hand. Well, I have this concern. No, hold on, let me finish. I have this concern. This is what OIP says. Oh, I have this concern. So if somebody wants board concerns, they have to send it to me. I'll put it under board concerns, but it has to be specific. It has to be specific, and that's the only thing we can talk about at that time, what that particular board concern is.
Thank you. Hang on. Thank you, Chair.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Did you want to say something first?
Yes, thank you. Chair, I read that letter from OIP. They grossly misunderstood our intent of including on our agenda a period by which board members could speak separately from the period of public concerns. I'm not sure where this additional information is and interpretation is coming from. If there's another place that these items could be discussed, yes, but if there's no action to be taken on an item, there's no need for it to be specifically noted outside of the period of public concerns. I just don't understand why we as individuals should not be able to speak about any item that's not on the agenda.
So I'm going to let Dennis speak, but first of all, public concerns are for the public to voice their opinions, not the board members. The public cannot send to us things that they would like to see on the agenda, whereas we as board members can. Go ahead, Dylan.
Yeah, just to clarify what's happening. OIP has a guide to sunshine law, and there is a specific portion in there that speaks to neighborhood boards. And during such, if you have public concerns, that's fine, that's great. Last minute announcements. If they come from board members, you can make a last minute announcement that you didn't have time to get on the agenda. But the difference between board members and the public is that if a board member makes a request to their chairperson, that chairperson has a few options, but ultimately it has to get on the agenda. That is the difference between the public and the board. The public can make a request to board members or the chair, and that is at their discretion. And they can always bring up something during community concerns. What we're trying to avoid to speed these meetings along and get through all the business, because that's been an issue, is to save the time for public concerns to address them to, let's say, Councilmember Dos Santos Tam's representative who's here tonight. If you have something that can be addressed by someone, let's say HPD, bring it to that person during their properly agendized time. So if a board member has an issue with the board, you need to speak to your chair about getting that properly listed on the board. That is the encouragement there. So I hope that's clear.
Chair, if I may, but that excludes last minute ideas that may come up preceding the 10-day window to have something put on the agenda. And you recall that a neighborhood plan says that those requests should be made in writing to the chair. It doesn't exclude the ability to talk about things outside of that. My only point of raise is I wanted to defend Member Schubert-Kwok intent to ask a question, and I feel that she was disenfranchised. Thank you.
Chair, can I clarify?
Yeah.
So again, a board member can make that announcement. Whatever comes up that you didn't have time to get on the agenda, go for it. But what we cannot do, that is clearly listed out, OIP, Sunshine Guidelines, I'll show you, Mr. Lai, after the meeting, is deliberation and board action. Deliberation means long discussion. So we used to go back and forth. A board member would bring something up, and then we would have 10 minutes of argument about something that's not listed on the agenda. That is inappropriate. That's all I have to say.
All right, so I'm going to actually close this part down. We're going to move forward. We got to get through this agenda. We never ever get through our agendas. Okay? If there is no other public concern from the public, we're going to move forward. All right, so we're going to move forward to public concerns. No, we're going to actually move forward to our next one. We're done with public concerns unless you speak it up.
I understand completely.
Go ahead.
I understand completely.
Go ahead, board member.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chair. I understand completely that public concerns are the opportunity for the public to speak. I think what Dr. Lai is complaining about, and I tend to agree with him, is that there's no place on the agenda. If the public concerns are for the public to speak and not the board members, then I share Dr. Lai's concern that there should be a section on the agenda for board members to express their concern. It can be saved for the end of the meeting, and if we run out of time, we don't get to, but it seems to me that it should be at least included on the agenda.
Okay, so as I stated, when we opened up today, there will be, starting next month, a board member concerns, but they must be sent to the chair because it has to be specific. So if you have a concern about one item, it has to be specific according to OIP. Well, no, this is what OIP is saying. Now, if you want to argue this piece with OIP, please go to OIP. I deal with OIP every single day. I'm sure they're sick and tired of hearing me. I do this every single day with OIP. So OIP said so. So as of this moment, we are now going to move forward. Yeah. Okay, thank you. And I understand we will have board concerns, and you folks can bring it up and send me what you guys want to speak about on board concerns, and it'll be added to the agenda. But public concerns is for the public, not for the board. All right, thank you. So next we're going to go to elected officials. So Governor Josh Green's representative, Sean Hanamoto, cannot be here today. Josh Green has recalled all his representatives. Everyone is required to work on the Lahaina fires. If anyone has any questions for the governor's office, they can either email it to Sean Hanamoto or myself, and we'll get it forwarded to him. Next, we have Mayor Rick Blangiardi's representative, Ian Sante.
Hi, good evening, Chair. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, my bandwidth again tonight is not working that well, but thank you again for the opportunity to speak. Ian Santee, Deputy Director, Mayor Blangiardi's representative. The first thing from the mayor's office is just to tell everybody about the mayor's newsletter that is out there. The mayor did send out a devastating a message from the mayor about the devastating wildfires that destroyed Lahaina and information that you can do. There is a new lifeguard tower at Kahe Point, Electric Beach, installed on August 3rd, expanded to 42 lifeguard towers across the island. There's a new Liquor Commission Administrator, Sal Patilos, a longtime industry leader. The mayor's administration is working on redeveloping Verona Village in Eva. Forbes magazine once again named the city and county of Honolulu as one of the best places to work in Hawaii. And Mary Lewis, the administrator of the Blaisdell Arena, Waikiki Shell, announced her retirement after 30 years of public service. Again, you can find this at oneoahu.org newsletter. The one concern that came up was the sidewalk repairs in Chinatown Cultural Plaza. An elderly resident recently injured fairly severe after tripping on an uneven sidewalk located outside of Sandy's Cafe, requested the sidewalk to be repaired. Pretty much, Department of Facility and Maintenance verified with the Department of Parks and Recreation Office that the specific area in question is located within the Sun Yat-sen Mall, which falls under their Department of Parks, Recreation, Maintenance, and they will address it. They appreciate the concern, and they are assuring that work order has been immediately submitted to Department of Parks and Recreation Maintenance Support Services to address the sidewalk issue. Please know that we are taking this matter seriously, and we are working diligently to resolve the issue promptly. The next one is the Needle Exchange Program. A board member raised concerns with the operation of the Needle Exchange Program and suggested that the operate at least 300 feet away from schools. The member was also concerned with the Hawaii Health Harm Reduction and maybe considering the distribution of squares of tinfoil and glass pipes to people who want to smoke fentanyl. At this time, it has been referred to the department, and it is not. Don't have an answer for you at this point. We will try to get you one by next meeting. Couple of things again, just to remember, important phone numbers for the city: 768-7777. You can report a pothole, and abandoned vehicles can be reported at 768-2530. I'm available for any questions.
All right, thank you. Do we have anyone in the audience that wishes to speak? Anyone online that wishes to speak? No. Okay. Go ahead, Amelie.
Hi, thank you very much. My question is, I know in the past, I believe the mayor's office, Director of Communications would review, sorry, would review the minutes. And I just wondered if that's still holding true or if they come out of the Neighborhood Commission office directly. Directly?
I don't have an answer for you on that, and maybe Dylan can answer, but if not, we can definitely get to.
Yeah, so Dylan answered the question.
It was,
It
yeah, it
comes
was
out-
the communications office before or something would review them.
Yeah, so as a courtesy, the neighborhood commission office, a neighborhood assistant like myself who attends these meetings, takes notes. We draft the minutes and then we share it with the board secretary for any edits, whatever they have. The minutes belong to the board and the public and the board can make any amendments they want. There's also no time frame. So if you look back at some old minutes and you have any issues, bring them to the board at an open public meeting and they can determine if they want to approve amendments.
Okay, so it doesn't go through the communications office at all?
No.
Okay, great, thanks.
Right? Anyone else, any other residents? Hearing none? All right, any board members? Board members? Board members on this side? Go ahead, Mr. Lai, please.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Santee, two quick questions regarding core services, and again, plans to expand the hours for such. I had the occasion to interact with a gentleman who's probably well known to many people who live in the downtown Chinatown area, who has broad manifestations of Tourette's syndrome. I spoke with him 2 days ago. He admitted this. He admitted that he has not been on his particular medicine that has helped him in the past and expressed some interest in trying to get help for that. However, he roams and roves, and it's impossible to know exactly where he will be at any one time. What ideas can we have about how to identify these people so that they can be followed up with by core at a later time, either during core hours or otherwise? That seems to be completely vexing. And then secondly, to copy or follow on to the question that was raised with Lieutenant Segusio earlier, the issue of cases filed by HPD to the Department of the prosecuting attorney getting dropped for lack of an ability to contact the department when all the paperwork should have been filed. I hope that we can analyze that and provide some feedback next month about that process. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lyon. If you could email me directly as you have done before about the specific for that core person, I can send it over to our staff to address. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Member Ross Oskimi. Ross Isukane.
Thank you, Chair. Hi, I had a question on the news release, the rental and utility relief program temporarily reopening. Just quickly, I didn't see, I mean, totally in support of the program. I think it's great. I didn't see, was there a reason? Was there a study that came out or an event that happened that caused the mayor to temporarily reopen this program again?
I would not have it for you, so I would have to we would have to send it out and get back to you, but we will follow up for you for the next week.
All right, thank you. And I'm taking the last question for you. Sir, first of all, the people in my area would like you folks to tear down that sitting part in front of Senior Sem Park. For years, I've gone over the place and we've cleaned it up, and Mr. Lai has seen it, and we have actually cleaned up. But because now you folks, apparently with the ACLU, this park area is still now getting really bad, and the people are complaining that there's too many people, and you can see it on the screen. There's no people there because that's okay when it's empty, but you can, you should be able to see it on the screen soon. But it's now just filled with people. People are afraid to walk at it. I watch down when I look out of my 20th floor building. I watch down, and people that are on that side walking across the street, they walk across, then they walk on the street. They literally walk on Hotel Street until they cross over, until they cross over the Nuano side. And no, that one's, that, yeah, those. Yeah, so they're literally, they're sitting there. This spot, all this spot is meant for is for people to sit down, do drugs, sleep, and defecate in this area. We would like it gone. And that's going to go same for the city council. We're asking you folks to do that, okay? And we also would like you folks to put lights, bright lights up between these lines, because at night there's no bright lights, so people are doing drugs within these lines at night. Right. Thank you. That's all I had to say. Thank you for your time.
Mr. Chair, may I also address that issue? For
We'll
Mr.
follow up.
Santi? Thank you. And by the way, the logic of a sergeant at arms is really made clear tonight.
No. So you can either address the
Yeah.
problem, we'll discuss time and
Oh, you made a comment about you or we want the seating removed. I don't know who the we are in that statement, but I would really ask the city that while that corner is better than nothing and better than what it was, it is still a far way away from being done. And there's absolutely no effort for beautification there. There's almost no effort for edification there with Sun Yat-sen. And I find it actually an embarrassing spot for our city. It should be better. I know the Hawaii Theater is not pleased with it. And we've got to, if we can't do something well once, we're got to, like the cameras, we're got to keep bringing it up month and month and month again until the city does get it. And one last thing. I personally have been to every neighborhood cleanup in the last year, and I'm tired of cleaning that particular park up. First of all, where is the city in its maintenance of that park? And also, too, one would like to believe that when you are beautifying our neighborhood, the neighborhood is getting better. And it's just, we go 3 spots forward and then we fall back 4. Then we go clean it up. We go 3 steps forward and we fall back 4. So I just would like to urge the city to finish the job and do what is right and what is respectful for our Chinatown, and that is finish Sun Yat-sen Park. Thank you, Chair.
All right, so this, what Mr. Santi is done. You're standing there to speak on.
May I respond to something that neighborhood board member just said?
Yeah, we're speaking to the mayor's rep on questions. So this is questions that coming to that. Now you may, I will allow you to respond to the mayor. Yeah.
So comments should also be directed to the chair and no one else. We don't instigate, but.
So if you want to ask a question of the mayor's rep, Mr. Santi, you may. I will allow you to do that.
So, sir, I know that you're asking me to direct the comments, but the neighborhood board members' comments did not direct it. And the comments about a sergeant at arms, I think many people should be offended. I look at this room, we're in a cafeteria, and you are the only ones here. And my comment is that Nessa, who I believe he was directing that to, she's homeless. She lives on the street. And I think her voice is as important as anybody here. And I think there are different ways that people express themselves across the board, but to suggest that there should be a sergeant of arms controlling her voice is offensive.
Okay, so I understand that, but we're going to move on. But no, I'm going to answer that question. When he was talking about sergeant of arms, it wasn't about having a sergeant of arms in there to remove anybody. It was a sergeant of arms to take time. Because we used to have a sergeant of arms that took the time here. And then if we went over, they would advise me as chair, and they would say, the time is up. That's what it was meant. It wasn't meant to anyone. That's what sergeant of arms is.
I would invite you, and I know that the camera doesn't catch it, but we're in a cafeteria. There's nobody here but you.
You have
So
30
to
people,
silence
but you have 30 people online.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank
so,
you.
So we're going to go ahead and move on to the next one. I understand where you're coming from. Thank you very much, Chair. I was the last question. That was it. We're going to move forward. We're going to the next.
Just very quickly, Chair, if I may.
Wasting time.
I didn't get a chance to speak.
So, but I said that I was going to be the last one to speak on this. I asked the board, is there anyone else that wants to say something Nobody said anything. We're going to move on to the next. Thank you. Next will be Tyler De Los Santos. Richmond.
Yep.
Go ahead, Richmond.
Okay. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Cool. Good to see you guys all again. I'm sorry I've been leaving early the last couple months. We had a crazy couple months. I mean, but it's always crazy with Tyler. So wanted to give some give some updates. We had a Kamali'i Park cleanup last week Saturday with the Chamber of Commerce. There was a lot to clean up, and our team got their hands dirty, and it was a great time. Lynn Robinson, who is our constituent services director, also wanted me to update you guys that there is a riser submitted for Pauahi Street. I believe there's a dangerous intersection that we're trying to address. There's some homelessness issues as well. So that's submitted. And then I wanted to give a brief legislative update. So we're going to be dropping a game rooms related package next on September 20th. Basically, some of the mechanisms that are allowing us to go after game rooms they're basically not good enough, right? And we're not able to come down on landlords specifically. So this would give us an opportunity to try to prevent game rooms and reduce the crime and other things and the drugs that come out of that as well. And then the other thing, so we have a bill that's relating to monster homes. I'm sure you guys have heard about it in the news. We are hearing the bill again on Tuesday. So basically what it does is goes after developers who lie to DPP. So that's a lot of the ways that monster homes are actually created. They say they're going to build something, they build something else. So it would basically go after those people and impose additional punishments. So we're trying to get feedback from the community, from other council members, in hearing what people want to include in that. We have a bunch of options. Demolition is one of the things that's been floated around. Additional fines, making it more difficult, maybe having a moratorium for somebody who's found to have lied to DPP. They're safe to say there's a lot of options. So would love to hear your guys' feedback on that as well. And open any questions that you guys have.
All right. So before we go to the board, we'll start as anybody that is present here in this cafeteria, if you want to address the councilman's representative, you may do so at this time. Go ahead. Thank you.
Other thing I wanted to add just before you come up here, new cameras installed as well. I know most of you guys know that, new cameras in Chinatown, but wanted to loop you guys all in on that as well. Go for it.
You're too tall. Anyway, hi, I'm Patrick Smith. I thank you for your time, Mr. Chair, and the rest of the board. I just wanted to suggest that our council member think about penalizing architects that submit the plans too. I didn't hear that in his proposal. They may have considered that, but anyway, if you would take that to the council member, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate that very much.
So just to clarify with that, it's anybody who has an interaction with DPP specifically related to permits. So if it's an architect who's the one who submits it, that person can be ultimately labeled as somebody who has a history of making false statements, and they will be subject to the additional penalties as well.
All right. Thank you. Is there anyone else in this cafeteria? Hearing none, seeing none. Is any residents online who wishes to speak at this time? Hearing none, seeing none. I believe the first person was Mr. Armstrong. Board Member Armstrong.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Richmond, for coming. Obviously, Kama'ili Park is much better as a result of our volunteer efforts. I hope that there has got to be a move to kind of rethink and reimagine that spot. And we've had some discussions, but I think we need to start a formal process, and I look forward to the city council members' efforts on that. I'm going to formally ask for, and I've done this informally, but now I'm going to formally ask for a curb cut to be made at the southwest corner of Baratania and River Street. It's been a long, long time that the city has not gotten to it.
Southwest corner of Baratania and River
Right,
Street.
the next to the skate park, that corner. And there is no way for a person who has mobility issues to get to that side of the street and the sidewalks there. The number three is I'm very disappointed, and you know what I'm going to say next, at the council members' lack of initiative or interest in a graffiti a bill in city council, the one that was passed unanimously on this board and a few other boards. You'll note that with the mural that's being painted at Smith Baratania Park, they're using specifically on our agenda, no graffiti paint, which is, if I'm not mistaken, and Kevin, you know this as well, about 4 times more expensive than the paint that most businesses use. There is no reason why we should spend 4 times more money on paint when the legislation is in front of Mr. Santos Tom. There's no bigger supporter of him than I am here. And all he has to do is move it so that merchants put those shoplifted items of spray paint behind the counter like we do razor blades and cold medicine.
All right, thank you. Your minute is up.
And my last question to you is, I understand the council member is supporting vaping legislation. He wants flavored vaping to be made available to students and to the public. And I'd like you to explain how in the heck he can justify making people or getting people
Please wind it
to
up. Your
be
minute is up.
nicotine addicted.
Right. So actually, he's not supporting vaping whatsoever. So just to give you guys some background, so there's Bill 46 right now is at the council. Basically, what it does is bans flavored vapes or flavored tobacco, I believe is the way they define it. Flavored tobacco broadly in the city county. The problem is the state preempts us. So basically what that means is we don't have any jurisdiction over this issue. So anything we pass doesn't really do anything. With that said, this is crafted in a way that if the state gives us the ability to do it, it triggers and automatically that thing goes into effect if passed. One of the discussion points around that bill right now is regarding some of the things that are in between, right? We're trying to address flavored vapes primarily because those are the things that are marketed to kids, right? But it raises other questions about what does that ban everything that's flavored tobacco, right? So one of the things that council member has been working on and thinking about a lot is cigars in particular. So cigars are not something commonly used by kids necessarily, but when they're described in their packaging, it'll be like notes of oak or notes of something. And that's part of how they market the cigars in general. So he doesn't want this bill to unintentionally preclude those retailers or the people who make the cigars from being able to say, you can include notes of oak or notes of whatever, or, so addressing that. And then there also has been floated from some of the stakeholders that we've engaged, hookah's culturally relevant. So people wanted to have the discussion about potentially exempting that as well, because we don't want as an unintended consequences of trying to prevent legitimately flavored vapes from getting in the hands of children, but that impacting other cultural things that may arise.
All right, thank you. Appreciate that. All right, board member, actually we go to board member Schubert Park first.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. Richmond, I'm really happy that Council Member Tyler is relooking at the Monster House issue, because I think it's very important to address the wrongdoing, even though after the houses were built, the consequences are there. So I'm very happy that he is sponsoring this bill to relook at and to levy penalties or removing these illegally built houses in our neighborhood. So I support that.
Thanks, Jelon.
All right, thank you.
I did want to speak really quickly before we get to Mr. McDonald on the graffiti bill. So actually, we had started working on it, I would say about 6 months ago. We floated it to some of I believe the Chamber of Commerce and some of the other small businesses. and they came out strongly in opposition. That's not to say it's not something that we're going to address down the line, but we felt that it was something that would kind of open up a major can of worms at this point. We feel we can continue to, Tyler's been going to a lot of the graffiti paintings and things like that, which is by no means a final solution. Sorry, I'm losing my train of thought for a second here. Essentially, you know, there are a lot of things like monster homes. There are things like creating affordable housing that Tyler is prioritizing at this point.
All right, thank you. Next, we're going to go to Board Member McDonald.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for being here. I briefly want to address the vaping thing as a fan of freedom. I hope you're not planning on restricting the types of products that people who are at least 21 or older are able to buy. They should be able to buy whatever kind of legal product that's available on the market. But I'll go to my main question, which is concerning, we've heard several times over the course of the evening concerns about homelessness and the crime that's associated with it. We even have a member of our homeless community here today, and that person has also expressed some concern and some grief over our homeless situation, and in particular, the crime that is associated with homelessness and the danger that it represents to both the homeless community and the citizens and businesses at large. So my question would be, what ordinance is the councilman supporting or sponsoring that is going to address?
Could you please go down your minute? Your minute is up. Please finish up.
I'll finish it up. What ordinance is the councilman supporting or sponsoring that is addressing this issue, and what is he actively doing to address this concern, this great concern in our community?
So I hate to answer your question with a question, but what specific facet of homelessness are you speaking on specifically? Because there's a lot of ways that we can think about it.
Well, in particular, the crime that's associated with it.
The crime that's associated with it. So we actually proposed Bill 3, which passed, which was related to it's the sit-lie ban. So one of the problems in our district on Kanoa Street was just this kind of huge homeless encampment that residents had been asking for help on for years with our predecessor, and we passed that bill, and we've been working with the stakeholders to clear it up. More broadly, I mean, housing is undoubtedly one of Tyler's top priorities, making more affordable housing. So one of the bills we proposed, Bill 21, would help facilitate the conversion of office to residential. You know, there are a lot of old or archaic ordinances out there that that restrict our ability to build more housing. But we are continuing to do kind of a large research process and seeing what kind of incentives we can provide to build more affordable housing, to see what regulations we can cut to make it easier to build more housing, and take on the issue holistically.
Can I follow up, Chair, quickly?
No, there'll be no follow up. I've given everybody a chance to follow up. You guys have abused that. So you ask one question, their answer. Next, Board Member Isokania.
Hi, Richmond. Quick question, and you know, Tyler can follow up later on this, so you don't have to struggle for an answer if you don't have one. But just regards with those multi-million-dollar settlements that I've been reading about, what exactly is the thought process? I mean, how are the entities, for example, HPD, held accountable for these payouts? Is their budget impacted, et cetera? Again, I don't need an answer now, but just
right. So actually, the general process and the way council actually approves it is it goes through Executive Matters and Legal Affairs, which is our committee, the committee that we chair. So basically, what happens is we have our normal committee meeting, we go into executive session, and everybody leaves the room. All of the lawyers and corporation counsel come up, and they basically provide us their legal recommendation on what what they do. So they're the ones who are going in court fighting for, they're obligated legally to represent the whoever the suit is being taken against. And they come to a conclusion on a settlement value, and then they provide that recommendation to council. So essentially it becomes procedurally from council's standpoint, because we're not able to like, we will interfere with the actual legal proceedings themselves if we're like, no, I think your settlement's dumb. We should do 60,000, not 50,000 or something like that, right? So that's kind of how the paper trail, I guess, shows that we're kind of approving it. In terms of just like the longer term impacts, to get to what you're talking about, certainly the budget is a huge option. Also, just anything legislatively. I mean, if there is a consistent pattern specifically, and you're seeing a lot of these, let's say the HBD one that came up, if we're seeing that consistently, right? And we're continuing to get complaints and stuff like that, there might be a bill floated or budget amendments made so that we can craft the incentives so that we can stop it. Yeah.
All right, thank you. And last one's come, unless, do you have any questions, sir? You guys haven't asked. Last one is going to come from me. Okay, you already saw what? And when I say we, the Chinatown Gateway Plaza Tower, people are complaining about all the drugs that are being sold there, all the drugs that have been done in front of them. We would like this area removed and reconstituted, because our people cannot sit there. The older people cannot sit there. At the bus stops, they cannot sit there. We would like that to be done. Also, we'd like to tackle and ask you guys again, I believe Kevin Lai can verify with me, that we can go back to 2016 or 2018, when the city had promised us that they were going to be giving us bathrooms in Chinatown to work, and you guys still have not given us those bathrooms to addressing your problem. Yeah, and we still haven't gotten that. We would like to have bathrooms there. We would also like for you folks to go ahead and steam wash, power wash our sidewalks. They haven't been power washed. The last time our sidewalks have been power washed was when election period was coming, okay? And then last, bright lights by the two dragons, between Sand Park and across Chinatown Gateway Plaza and Waller Park, yeah? Because people are finding it scary to walk in this area. That's all. You don't have to answer my questions. Just give me an email.
Okay.
All right, that'll be it.
Thanks, guys.
All right, thank you. So next up, we have Senator Rose. Thank you for sticking around this long, Senator.
Good evening, everyone. First off, just wanted to let everyone know that Governor Green just recently released $1 million in capital improvement funds to the Hawaii State Archives for general expansion, creation of new collections, and community engagement spaces. Switching to the red light safety program that is now up and running at, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 sort of test intersections, most of which are in Neighborhood Board District 13 and in Senate District 13. Vineyard Boulevard in Palama, Vineyard Boulevard in Liliha, Vineyard Boulevard in Nu'uanu, Poly Highway in Vineyard, Poly in School, Bikelike in School, King Street in Ward, Kapiolani and Kamakee, Baratania and Pi'ikoi, McCully and Algaroba. So they're all up and running. You can get a ticket there, so just be careful when you're driving through that you don't run the red light. Switching to COVID, the Department of Health reported 840 new COVID cases this week with a 7-day average of 129 cases a day, and that included 6 deaths. COVID remains a top 10 cause of death in this country and has claimed the lives of more than 1.1 million Americans. I still strongly encourage you to get your shots and your boosters. A new booster for one of the later variants will be out. My understanding is by the end of the month. And I'd also encourage you, for at least for a while, to wear masks inside again in large and where there's a lot of people, because it's definitely going around Hawaii right at the moment. And also on the health front, flu shots are now available. Flu, of course, isn't as in most years is not as dangerous as COVID. I don't know if it's in any years it's as dangerous as COVID, but it's the flu shots are available. That's it. Thank you.
Mr. Vice Chair.
All right, are you done? All right, do you have any questions for Senator Rhodes from the people present in the cafeteria this evening? All right, seeing none, are there any questions for Senator Rose online? Oh, okay, opening up to the board.
Mr. Vice Chair.
Go ahead, Mr. Armstrong.
Thank you, sir. Senator Rhodes, thank you for being here. I note that the state has not reported the red light citation since July 3rd. Do you have any idea why this is?
No, I don't. I'll check. I think it's fair to say, though, that thousands of them have been issued, but I will try to get the most recent numbers.
Okay, next question, Board Member Lai.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Senator Rhodes, regarding the light traffic cameras, do you recall, are they equipped with strobes so they function at night?
The answer is yes, they do function at night. I don't know what the technology is. I don't know if it's I mean, they have to have, presumably they have to have some sort of an illumination like a flash bulb, but I've never seen one go off at night.
All right, Board Member McDonald.
Thank you, Vice Chair. I'd like to start by first apologizing to the senator. The last time the senator was here attending the meeting himself, I was attending the meeting virtually as well from my office where the band was conducting a sound check, and it became very difficult for any of us, including myself, to hear my question. And so I apologize to the senator and the constituency for that. I'd like to readdress that question, which concerns an article in the Hawaii Free Press about the scandal between Senator Rhodes, his wife, and City Council member Andy Mercatani. Now, we know, and you apologized at that meeting for your wife's involvement in that scandal, but the federal court ruled that you also participated in this illegal scandal. And there doesn't appear to be a good reason for it. So we know your wife did, and she was granted immunity.
All right, thank you
We know
very
were
much.
never
Your 1 minute
prosecuted.
is up.
But I ask you what your response is to why you were participating in this
The 1 minute is
scandal.
up. So I'm going to take this one step further before we go on this. Senator Rhodes.
No, I'll answer the question. I don't mind.
No, you don't have to. Thank you.
I didn't. I forgot how you phrased your question already. You said that I apologize. I did not apologize for my wife's involvement. On the contrary, I think that she did exactly the right thing in a very difficult circumstance. As I've mentioned before, and as people have known for decades at this point, because this happened in Mercatani went to prison in 2001 or 2000 maybe. He was convicted, amongst other things, of witness tampering and extortion. And one of the people he extorted was my wife, and one of the witnesses he tampered with was my wife. So I'm not apologizing for anything she did. On the contrary, she did exactly what she should have done under the circumstances.
If I might,
thank you. No follow-up question.
I'm asking why you participated, not your wife. The federal judge ruled that you were a participant in this. This has nothing to do with your wife's participation.
Hold on. No, you don't.
I've answered the question. If you don't have to like the answer, but that is the answer.
I am not allowing follow-up questions. You ask a question, that's it, we move on. Go ahead. Anyone else? Go ahead. Sean, board members, Vice Chair Sean.
Good evening, Senator Rhodes. Thank you for attending this evening. I just wanted to reconcile something because, we had some discussions about Hullabaloo with Mark Tyrone this morning, or at the onset of our meeting. He adamantly stated that there are zero noise complaints with respect to the event last year. However, Ms. Lee Stack presented an email purportedly from you that stated otherwise. And further, when you made a comment about the basis for your opposition to Hullabaloo, you mentioned specifically the noise complaints. Did you receive any noise complaints from Hullabaloo last year? If so, how many? Could you please reconcile these two pieces of information?
Yeah, no,
Thanks.
I certainly received noise complaints last year. I don't remember how many. It was quite a while ago now. I think the reconciliation is that the Liquor Commission in the past has indicated that if you don't complain during the event, they don't count that as a complaint about the event. So maybe there was, I don't believe that's actually true either. I think there were complaints during the event, but there were certainly complaints shortly thereafter. So I think Mr. Tyrone is, it's a lawyer's answer. It's, technically maybe it's correct by the way the Liquor Commission does the complaints, but that's why I, as I mentioned before, I've not always been opposed to that. They're the ones who have convinced me that maybe we shouldn't have them in our neighborhood at least every year. Let somebody else have to put up with it.
All right, thank you. Go ahead, Board Member Isukani.
Senator Rhodes, I appreciate your candidness on the hullabaloo. I'm just curious, now that you've heard the testimony from the public in support and even from this board in support, acknowledging that you got noise complaints, but also hearing from Mr. Tyrone about the benefits to the community and a lot of things. Are you still opposed? I guess I would.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I think that if you look at the overall cost benefit analysis, it's negative for Chinatown. It's very loud. There's a lot of people live right above it. Is anybody in Chinatown? The people who run businesses in Chinatown don't necessarily live in Chinatown. So is any of the money actually staying in Chinatown? I don't know. I think that, well, that's the answer. I think that on balance, it's a negative, and I wish it would go somewhere else.
All right. Next, we go to Member Travis Thompson.
Hi, Senator Rhodes. Thank you for being here. I had a question. In the spring, we brought up having a cover put on H1. I wondered if there was any progress on that and kind of what the plan was going forward. I know some of the members said, why would we care since we don't live near there? But part of Chinatown is right against the highway, and that's particularly where I live. So I'm happy to hear more about the.
That's a good question. I have not heard anything in a little while. So let me check on that. I know, I think I'd already reported to you that the application was sent to the U.S. Department of Transportation, but I don't know the answer of what happened. So I'll try to I'll get an answer before next month.
All right, thank you. Board Member Lori McCarney.
Thank you, Chair. First of all, I live in Chinatown, and I truly appreciate. I'm really quite disappointed in your opposition to hullabaloo, so I'll just say that. But regarding the cover over H1, I've seen those out, or over Vineyard. I've seen those in different cities, and I think they're interesting. The thing is that they take care of their other parks, and until we can take care of the parks that we already have, I think adding another one that we don't take care of doesn't make a lot of sense. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. Duly noted.
All right. Is there any other board member who hasn't spoken that would like to speak? If not, I already called the residents out, yeah. Go ahead, I will let you speak. After Mark is done, we're done.
Mark Tyrone with Hullabaloo, and I'm a business office rent. I have office space in Chinatown since 2009. And I'm not looking at he said, she said match, but I want to point out a very important thing about noise complaints. If a noise complaint comes in after an event, there's no way to verify whether there was a noise issue or not. So we're not trying to put up hurdles to regulation. We're trying to manage things, actually to be able to manage things. Anyone can come up after an event. There's people that don't like Mark Tyrone. I've been the tip of the spear on this, and everyone that goes against me, every time I get to do an event, they get a scar. And there gets to be some personal vendettas I've seen through the years. So the fact that any event could be penalized because of a complaint that there was no way to verify is problematic, especially given that the Liquor Commission was on site and DTS was on site throughout the event. So I'm not challenging that Senator Rhodes receive complaints. I'm bringing up a very important issue of why it's critical that complaints be received during an event.
All right, thank you. Did you want to answer that, Senator Rhodes?
Yeah, sure. It's there's no reason to complain about something after the fact if there wasn't really a problem. there's a lot of noise in Chinatown. You have to make a lot of noise in Chinatown before anybody even notices that there's any noise. So when people come to me afterwards and they say it was really loud, I generally believe them unless there's some, some reason not to. But people don't like to complain. They only complain when they're sort of pushed beyond their tolerance levels. And yes, there's a judgment call about whether or not you believe the person who's complaining. And most of the time I do.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Senator Rhodes, for being here tonight. We'll go ahead and move on. Thank you for your time. All right. Thank you. All right. Next up, we have Scott Psyche. Scott Psyche for District 26. Is that 30 now? Scott Psyche, 30 now? No. Yeah, it's not. All right, and then of course, to my favorite friend, Daniel Ho. You here? Nope. All right, thank you. All right, next we'll go ahead and move on to monthly reports. Board of Water Supply. Iris is not there? Iris, are you here? She's here? Yeah. Iris, can you hear me?
Now I hear you. I was off
Okay,
just now.
go ahead, Iris.
Oh, phew. Okay. Hi, I'm Iris Oda from the Board of Water Supply. I just have one announcement. It's Source Protection Week from September 24th through September 30th. The goal is to bring awareness about the importance of protecting our precious drinking water sources. While Oahu's water purity comes from groundwater resources, here are some basic ways you can protect the source. So conserve and use water efficiently, check and repair leaks regularly, use only what you need and don't waste it, properly dispose of household waste, don't pour it on the ground, protect watersheds, stay on designated trails and respect the wildlife, join a community watershed partnership group, and with the closure of 3 water sources near Red Hill, we all need to be responsible stewards to ensure we'll have adequate supply of safe drinking water today and for the future generations. So have you guys, like you guys to go to boardofwatersupply.com/source for more information. So let's do our part and make every drop count. So that's my fast announcement. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Do we have anyone in our audience here at the cafeteria that would like to say anything to Iris? Seeing none, hearing none. Anyone on the anyone on the online that would like to say anything? I hear none. Board member, go ahead. Board member Sean Fitzsimmons.
Hi, Iris. How you doing? Thanks for being on tonight. Yesterday, at the last meeting, the Board of Water Supply made a presentation about the proposed increases and delineated rates for different types of structures. My recollection was that single-family dwellings were charged at a less of a rate than a commercial structure. However, short-term vacation rentals were kind of like not addressed within those delineations. Has there been any change or improvement?
I think I recall your question that was mentioned, and I believe Arnie, my manager, Arnie Lau, thought that was a good suggestion. So I haven't heard anything about that, but they're probably looking into that and considering how to incorporate that if possible. But thank you for that suggestion.
Chair.
So I don't have any updated. Yeah.
Mr. McDonald, Board Member McDonald, please.
Thank you. And thank you, Iris, for being here. I just want to say after last week's presentation, I understand you're with the Board of Water Supply, that I would like to strongly urge the Board of Water Supply to rescind its request to raise its rates. We are all struggling, both personally and businesses, small businesses as well. And the people from Hawaii Energy were here and just confirmed that Hawaii pays the highest rates in the nation for electricity. Another hike in utility expenses can be devastating to small business as well as private sector. So I hope that the Board of Water Supply would do its best to rescind its request to raise its rates. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll pass that along, but same as electricity going up for everyone else, it does go up for us also. That is part of what we consider also as part of the rate increases. But I will put that suggestion and request it through to the manager and department.
All right, thank you very much, Iris. I appreciate it. It is 8:59. I'm calling this board closed down. 8:59, we are now closed. So, downtown Chinatown Neighborhood Board, number 13 is scheduled. Yeah, I found it. It's scheduled to meet at 6:00 p.m. on Thursday, the 5th of October, 2023. Rebroadcast of downtown Chinatown Neighborhood Board, number 13 meetings are scheduled on Olelo channel every third Thursdays and fourth Saturdays of the month. All right, thank you. You all have a good day. Bye-bye.